Hi everyone, how are you? Happy Halloween.
Happy Halloween, mother truckers. I'm gonna go stick my dick in a pumpkin.
Okay, you were practicing that for a while, haven't you?
Yeah, I just thought of it off the cuff. That was something I saw on TikTok. So I was like, you know what? I'm gonna say it.
Oh my god. Well, anyway, let's jump into it. We've got obviously our girls today. More will be joining on as they put their costumes on. I hope you guys have costumes on because, I mean, you know, it's Halloween, right? You should have costumes on. So let's invite Junita. Let's invite Fatma. Let's invite Chelsea. And Chelsea needs to change her nickname.
Yeah.
Oh, where's Chelsea? Where'd she go? There she is, Rose.
Down there. So while we're doing that, anyway, so if you guys are dressed up, don't forget, post your selfie on social media. Tag us by hashtagging League of Mayhem because we want to see it. We want to see all your awesome costumes. So this is a special stream, second this week. And we are going to be talking scary stories. We're going to be talking cosplay. We're going to be talking all this kind of stuff. So let's maybe start off. What should we start off? What do you think? What do you think?
Putting pressure on me. Don't look at me.
Do a drum roll. No. Well, so, you know what, let's start on the serious topics for a bit. Let's start with one that is, like, everywhere right now. Obviously, because it happened only 2 days ago or yesterday. I'm not sure. My time zone is completely all over the place. But it is the Forbes article. I'm pretty sure that everybody here read it. What are your thoughts, girls? I saw you tweeting about it. So what are your thoughts in regards to the situation that was described? Because I was pretty shocked when I read it. When it was said that obviously something bad went down on the set, I did not imagine that this is what it was. And I personally was really shocked. So what was your initial reaction? What's your thoughts and notes towards this?
Pissed, but not surprised.
Yeah, I suppose. Fatma, any thoughts?
I mean, this is Ray's story, right? So it's Ray's words and what Ray went through and what he is saying that they went through and the cast and everything. So it's just very, the whole situation is horrible. It shouldn't have happened. It shouldn't be something that we have to be talking about in the first place, in all honesty. So it's still, there's a lot of layers and there's a lot of things that are involved in this that, you know, you have to, you know, take it bit by bit and just see how things unfold, really. It's all horrible. I don't think there's any other thing that I can say about the stuff that was done.
Yeah. What about you, Chelsea? What are your thoughts on it?
I'm not surprised, but I am surprised just because, I mean, I would always say they're racist as, like, not being totally serious, but, like, just pointing out, like, an obvious observation from what we saw in the movie and then what we're supposed to get. But then it's like, he's actually racist. Well, they're both actually racist. And it's, like, coming to light and it's, like, hitting you. That, wow.
Yeah, over the years, hearing more and more about stuff like Joss Whedon's behavior on set with different talent, like, it just, like, I didn't think it could get any worse. Like, I thought that, like, we'd hit the level for even someone like him to be a scumbag, but I guess it turns out he can keep going deeper and deeper. And
oh, sorry, go on.
Go on.
Now, I wanted to ask, because obviously Joe's in the industry and stuff. So, in your sort of opinion or point of view, these articles, is there a chance that this article is going to shake things? Is it going to make things moving, or do you feel like it's going to have some impact as far as moving the investigation forward and stuff?
No, I don't think so. So I ran out of time. I wanted to do like a little video on how to read these things, these type of pieces for the fandom, which is still in my thing. But anyway, no, this type of piece is obviously, especially the piece alone, the original one that Shiraz wrote was like really, really beautiful. It was amazing with some of the revelations that were in it. A lot of stuff that I've been writing about that I wrote about last year, almost, the same time last year, about the whitewashing, except now we have specifics, we have details. There was like, Ray had one quote about the, how, there was just the coloring of a black character, of a character of color after the shots were done. There was like some controversy over her coloring, and she was cut because her color wasn't right. So all those revelations were like amazing. So that right there was enough to like shift something, and get people like really, really looking at this in a serious way and looking at it as more than just fans, saying something. And then Forbes went and changed out the quote and changed out the title and changed up they went and put their hands in it and just made it more nefarious. So
it's honestly like whatever happened to like one of the tenets that America was founded on is freedom of the press. It's like
right. And so what they were supposed to have done was put an update, have the article as was. Now, unless there was like some blatant slander or dangerous, like some material in there that would incite danger or anything like that, then they can then usually they just pull it down, pull it all the way down. Changing the title, changing out a quote squarely in the middle that's a big part of the article, that's not done. That's not done. You put an update up there, you put an editor's note at the bottom, you leave everything else as is. So to change out, and then the quote they changed out was just, one quote. There was still Ray talking about the harassment, talking about the gaslighting, all that was still in there. So you're really not okay with being called a racist, but you're okay with being called an abuser and a gaslighter.
I found that really interesting. I found that interesting that there was that one quote that got taken out, which obviously all the media took and literally copied everywhere else. So it's not really out. It's everywhere. It's everywhere. Yeah. On Forbes.
Oh, I wrote an article about it and I had no problem finding it. It was
I personally have a lot of things screenshotted from the original article. It's like that's just the nature of the internet. The internet is forever. Yeah. And Arib makes a good point. It's like with these big publications like Forbes, it's not a free for all. It has to go. Each article has to go through an approval process. So they approved it. They let it go up.
Not only they approved it getting written, they approved it the draft. There were editors that edited, there are proofreaders, fact checkers. I mean, yeah. Yep. So the fact that to just say at the end of the day it was one guy, or to act like it, to insinuate that with the former contributor thing.
It wasn't like someone randomly going rogue. Not to make a joke with Rogue in the room.
Yes, Rogue, sorry.
Going rogue.
No pun intended.
Because that's just not how these publications work, especially online, since journalism has moved so much to be online. Yeah. And it just makes it even crazier that now when there's articles coming from other from the trades and whatnot, and they're talking about, they make it sound like it was one man blowing a whistle or something, but no, you guys literally approved this. You should all carry the weight of the blame if there is any blame to be had.
Well, Vanity Fair had a good article that quoted the Hollywood Reporter talking about how odd this was, So I think people are taking note of that. So this is basically, I mean, whatever they tried to do, it neutralized itself. And I think what's going to come out of this is, why were you trying to do all this all of a sudden?
Exactly.
And I know I went digging, and this is almost, I mean, the lawyers coming down and, kind of intimidating the reporters is kind of a Weinstein thing. Weinstein's lawyers did that a lot, trying to stop the New York Times article from coming out, trying to stop a couple other articles coming out. So yeah, this is like an intimidation tactic. That's why, I think that this is something that we need to make sure that we share.
We don't lose track. We can't let it shut up. We have to.
No, we can't
continue
let this
sharing those little tidbits.
Yeah, you can't sweep this under the rug. I mean, what Ray said the first time was enough. I mean, that was like, oh my God, enough. But then, like, what happened to me, that just kind of says, oh, well, he was telling the truth. I mean, apparently, because y'all don't want it to come out. That's somebody like me, just a regular person without my journalism hat on. That's what I would think. Oh, y'all went through all this trouble to shut him up. He must be telling the truth,
Yeah, no, it's I have similar thoughts. I'm like, first of all, obviously, if you go literally like this out and you say all these things, you have to expect that there's going to be a backlash towards that. And obviously, backlash is one thing, but like, you're risking your career with that. You're risking everything, because this is not something that's going to go over lightly. And the reaction that they made, like, obviously, especially as you say, having the article rewritten, not just added quotes, not, taken down or anything, rewritten, it screams to me like, okay, there is guilt there. Somebody's guilty. Somebody has guilty conscience on this.
Mm-hmm. Joe, I think that you could probably answer this question the best. Why isn't the editor-in-chief getting some sort of reprimand?
Because there's something else going on. Guys, look, this is like, when something like this happens. Okay, think back to when they found out. Do you remember when they found out that there was a reporter from, was it the Washington Post and New York Times, who had lied about their background, about their bylines, some of their stories? They pulled.
I don't remember, but I mean, I don't remember which. I do remember.
There was a movie about it too. If you remember the movie, that's the same thing. Because
guys, I'm just making sure the tape sticks to my bat symbol. I'm not like being weird.
Whatever. Sure did.
This is going downhill fast again.
Whenever something like that happens, they there are people that have to answer. Why didn't you do what you were supposed to do? They pull the article down. They pull it down, and there's a kind of a reckoning you have to go through. You have to basically go through what happened before they find out who dropped the ball here. Who dropped the ball? Somebody had to. I mean, and so and yeah, like Arif said, there should have been, when I do my articles for the Washington Post, and even when I do for multiple other publications, I have to supply my editor with the names and email addresses and phone numbers of the people that I talk to, and they fact check. They run that through the fact checkers, and they go talk to those people, ask them for a comment. And if they don't comment by the time the article is posted, oh well, it's going out. But if they come back later with a comment, it's added as an update or an editor's note. They don't change anything in the middle. And so I wanted to stress that this is irregular. This is highly irregular that they did this. Changing the title, taking out the quote and putting in a quote. That's highly, highly irregular, that you would either take it down or you would add a note at the top or the bottom. You wouldn't change anything at all. Not even saying it was a former contributor. You wouldn't even do that. I mean, it all reeks of just like petty high school mean girl shit. It really has no room. It should not be happening at Forbes. I mean, it's like, are you guys a bunch of 16-year-old girls right now? I mean, this is what this feels like, right? So, yeah. I didn't mean to
Thank you for that insight, though. I think it's really important that we understand the mechanics of everything going around this.
Yeah, I think so. I think it helps the support with the fandom. You know, helps you support your fandom, because there's a lot of people that question. You know, and if you're able to be like, okay, no, you're questioning my guy, but this is what is supposed to happen in the industry. If you can like articulate that to people, I mean, it makes it easier for you as a fan to enjoy your fandom, I think. So
yeah, I think it's important that we pay attention, not only that quote that was obviously rewritten, but also all the other stuff that was in the article, because it was in the article and because it was overlooked for whatever reason. Just like there was that one thing that they insisted on fixing, and the entire situation, obviously, as you said, it's very unprecedented, which honestly I didn't know. So thank you for the insight. So again, all of this kind of adds into, we have to pay attention of what's going on, and if that article itself doesn't change something, then it's our it's up to us to keep keep it in the knowledge, keep it going, keep it in our memory.
Yeah, when people start talking, how people talk about our fandom. I mean, I think we should, bring this up, bring up the threads that are breaking this down, bring up the other articles being written. The article that Sean O'Connell wrote for Cinema Blend about this whole thing, and he even had an update after, Joss's people contacted him from Ray on there. And he did it the right way. You just keep piling the updates on there. You don't change. And so I think that if we keep those articles where we can just pull them up, and if we keep this knowledge in our heads, we can, like, every time this comes up where people are like doubting, or when people are like, they're like, oh, they're the big corporations wouldn't do this, or they're talking about this director in another context, because you guys know these people won't stop. And so if it happens again, I think we need to be able to, get up there and speak and say what happened before. And so this article is powerful in that it gives us ammo that we can use later on.
Definitely.
It seems like such an amateur move from Whedon's team. Like it feels like they did not think this through.
Oh no, it seems totally.
Sorry, girls, to pause you. I hear an echo. Does anyone have it open in their site, the YouTube site? I like how Cole looks up. Is like, have I been called?
I don't have headphones on, but
neither do I. Does anybody? But
I have an extra microphone. Let me see if I can turn off the mic.
I don't know who it is. I'm just sort of throwing it in.
Go on, Amanda.
It feels reactionary, and it doesn't feel.
It does feel it feels emotional. That's what I find kind of funny about the reaction, because it's always like as women, we're always seeing women are so emotional, and this is a grown ass man reacting obviously so emotionally, like he's literally flipping the hell out and not taking time. Most people who were a bit more mature would probably take the time to compose themselves, speak with their lawyers, come up with a plan. But he is guilty. So he flipped out and decided to act like a little kid and started screaming. And it's very telling. It's like, you wouldn't be that defensive if these were false accusations now, would you? Amanda, you're muted. I don't know if you know that.
No, I do. I'm trying to make sure I'm not the one messing it up.
Dress up is absolutely freaking fantastic, and I love it.
So Amanda is half Martha Kent, half Martha Wayne, and it's absolutely inspired.
Martha Wayne, Martha Kent. And yes, these are inspired directly from Zach's Martha Kent and Martha Wayne. Hence the 70s lapel, wrap coat,
You better put that
and
on Vera.
Man of Steel flannel.
Oh yeah, this is epic. I love it. I love it.
Dude, somebody mentioned
maybe
Rogue
ever.
jacket, and I was like, this is excellent. I also need to say, Fatma, for it being the very first time you ever dress up for Halloween.
Yeah, putting us all to shame.
Yeah.
Man.
Yeah.
My first
I'm not.
Halloween costume, I
You
was
guys
a
are
tiny. I was inside of a stuffed pumpkin.
No, honestly, like you guys are so. I love everything, especially Chelsea. That rogue is.
I'm loving what Chelsea did with her braids at the forefront. That looks perfect.
I got the
It
braid. I got
does.
the hair like an hour ago. And
Yes.
then I uploaded it.
I like how everybody has been just doing this stuff like an hour before the stream.
Batman,
Batman too.
you really are the mother of Batman.
Who are you?
Joining me.
I'm Halloween right now, but what I'm doing is Batman,
And what's Rory wearing?
Wonder Woman.
Wonder Woman.
It's the eagle.
It's the eagle one.
Oh, I'd love to
That's
see
what they're
that.
calling. I know. I saw the nails, Fatma. Are you eating
Someone's-
Halloween candy?
Someone in the comments asked for them. I don't have to function with them, guys.
And the other
Fatma was for those in the audience, Fatma was really funny. Right before we were texting her, like, "Where are you?" And she couldn't text, so she sent us a voice clip. And she's like, "I can't text with these nails on."
I'm coming. I got text. I'm coming.
Must be hard to be a Kardashian,
Putting my
you know?
green
Gives you
face
some real
on.
insight. Shepherd, Mommy is online, so people can hear you laughing everywhere.
What a threat.
Not gonna stop him. Yeah. Yeah,
I mean-
he's like, oh, they can? Yes.
I mean, like, it's a combo of you and Steven. I'm not entirely sure what you expected. Like, that's not good.
Yeah, yes, very much so. He is, it's funny because like Rory is really, really, really bubbly and emotive and stuff. So everyone's like, oh my gosh, she's just like you. But then also she can just chill for like 2 hours. Shep can't chill. So I'm like, the chilling for 2 hours part, that's Steven. That's that and their eye color, and that's about it. That's cool. Wait, when
It's in from Ray Fisher himself. He posted this. It's an accountability as over entertainment.
Oh,
He
love
posted it on his
that.
and it's purple. I love purple, by the way.
Okay, why didn't you just pull it up on a screen share?
Yes, let's do that.
How?
There's a button down there, like on the bottom that says
Oh my
share
God.
screen on.
See, this is just like okay. Okay.
So you click on share screen and then you choose application window and you choose the Twitter window where you have it open, but like have it open first.
also
See, this is like when the episode of Justice League Unlimited when they're like, Flash, take the wheel. But does anyone ask if Flash can?
But you are Barbara Gordon here. Like you're supposed to know.
Barbara.
Listen,
I
I'm
also
an
want to,
idiot.
since we're talking about Ray, topical. Did everyone see his Halloween tweet from
Yeah.
earlier today?
Oh yeah, that was so
Yeah.
cute.
I love one of the things we talked about earlier in our League of Mayhem group was that, like, I love that it's just a costume he got from Target. You know what I mean? Like, it's not a custom built costume that he paid a bunch of money for. It's not something he like spent
he like
hours and
literally
hours
got
putting
that.
together himself.
He literally got that at like Spirit Halloween or something. I love
Yes,
it.
yes. It looks great.
I mean, it's hard for him to look bad in anything, you know?
True.
That's
So
true.
are you still figuring out how to share it, or do you just want me to do it?
You can do it. I give up.
This is too
But
funny.
I loved even more that he was going to the grocery store dressed like that, and that's like him. He was taking his nephew for that was the
Yes.
whole celebration. Like that's what I do usually. So I was telling the girls this. I live in the middle of nowhere, so we almost never get trick or treaters unless I put out a call to arms on Facebook and ask people to come and make my dad happy. And so usually what I end up doing is I dress up in a costume and then go trick or treating or go grocery shopping with him on Sunday.
All right, so here we go, fam.
Unafraid.
Hang on, let me open it up. He has it as a profile picture now. I like it.
That's really cool.
Yes, really, really cool.
I wonder what this means. Does it mean something? Does it have to mean something? It doesn't have to mean anything.
Accountability versus is bigger than entertainment, no?
Yeah.
No,
I'm
just
it's
saying,
accountability over entertainment, but I mean, I don't know if he's using it for something or if it signifies anything. He's been using that in like every tweet for a long time.
I think this is like a symbol of him. He's moving forward.
I wonder if this is from his guy
doubling
who
down.
did org life for him.
Mm-hmm. This is like doubling down, making this permanent.
Yeah.
And moving forward.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
so I think that's what it is.
Unafraid.
Unafraid. Yep.
Unafraid.
Unafraid.
Yep.
So like.
Hang on a minute. My kid just yeeted something down the steps, and I got to make sure everything's okay.
Gotta make sure it's nothing alive.
My kid just yeeted something down the stairs.
While we're still kind of waffling between the serious serious topic before we like just do whatever. I really love this tweet Nana put out earlier, and I just want to read it for our discussion. Our freedom of speech is one of the most important freedoms out there, but are we really free if journalists can be fired for an interview article when a white man with money get upset for being called out? And that is perfect. Like that's everything that I've been feeling about it. We didn't plan that either. She did that on her own, by the way.
Like the thing is for me, and people who know me, people who've spoken to me about this before, they know how I am. Freedom of speech is something that I'm very vocal about. I feel like it's one of the most important things to have. And I feel that way because I come from a place where my parents grew up in times where they didn't have freedom of speech. And media were not free. And I feel like free media is the ground for freedom of everybody. You are not free if your media are not free, because if your media are influenced by somebody and they're not allowed to freely report on things, then you are losing your freedom as well, because you don't get the chance for critical thinking. You don't get a chance to form your opinion, let alone voice it. You are losing freedom of speech, the freedom of everything, if you lose freedom of media. And it's like if you look at any sort of dictatorship or any sort of this stuff, like today, even in the past, it was always controlled by the form of controlled media, because you can control what's coming out, what your people read, what your people don't read. And I find it something that we don't pay attention enough to, and we should. And freedom of press, freedom of speech is incredibly important. And I feel like it's our duty to call it out if we see it. Because if we it doesn't matter what country, doesn't matter what government or what agenda or anything. If we let them take away the freedom of press and freedom of speech, we lose everything. That's what it is. Because you will not be able to form your opinion if you don't have all the facts, and you can't get facts. Oh my God.
Oh, that's what she meant by the eagle. She's from Night One before.
Oh my God, she's so
absolutely
amazing.
Love it. It's beautiful.
I love that she's holding her up like Simba in The Lion King.
Yeah, well, because she's going, put me down. down, put me down. So I'm like, fine. I just, honey, they can't taste gummy bears through the computer.
I love them. I love you.
She's so cute.
One.
Yeah, no, but freedom of speech, freedom of press, I feel like it's a very important thing to touch on. I keep.
Oh. He said he wanted to kiss you all, and then he did that. I'm very sorry.
He's so sweet. Yeah, but yeah, anyway.
Have you always felt this way about freedom of speech, or is this like a more recent?
Yes,
Nana's country is communism, so
kind of matters there.
When we were going to school, obviously learning our history, and you do learn, especially you learn that history when like you were literally born 3 years after the Velvet Revolution. You do learn about, you know, what communism was like. And honestly, like my parents, my grandparents, they lived 20 years under this sort of life. And you know, it would be like stories, like my dad telling me stories how they were sneaking out music, you know, into the country so that they can listen to Beatles, stuff like this. It's completely mad and ridiculous. Like my mom said, you know, it would be super, super strange to wear jeans because jeans were American thing and they were not allowed in there. So if you managed to sneak in jeans from West Germany, you actually couldn't wear them much because people would get jealous and then they would be going to the government and tell on you and say that you were a spy, and then you could get tortured and sent to gulags for jeans.
guys, we have a very special guest who just popped in. Oh, I think we know you.
Oh my God.
Happy Halloween!
Sorry, I don't have a costume on. That's my bad. I apologize.
You're dressed as an award-winning director.
We
But-
did warn you.
But this is awesome.
So,
Thank you.
so you already know me and Nana, and then this is Jonita Davis, and
Hello.
this is our one, and this is Fatma Cat, who's dressed as Catwoman.
Awesome.
Hi, Zach.
This is
Hi.
Amanda. You know her husband, Stephen Colbert.
Yes.
Hi.
She's both of your Marthas, by the way.
Okay, awesome. Oh, that's perfect.
And
No,
then
that-
there's Chelsea, who's Rogue.
Hi.
Hi. It's funny because we always talked about this idea where I said, what if after, I mean, it's pretty obvious, but we were like, what if after, Joe Chill killed Batman's parents, that like Martha survived and like went into witness protection in Kansas. And it turned out that Superman landed in her, she remarried and then like show that they were the same Martha.
Oh, nice.
Wow. Okay, yeah.
That hurts my brain.
Yeah.
That's like the All My Children version of.
Oh my God.
Oh my brother. Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
So how you guys, what's up? What are you guys doing?
We're just talking about current events and just, getting the stream started. You're here earlier than we thought.
You know what? I had a window and I was like, I should go down and jump on with those guys because
Yeah.
the kids, we did we were doing like a, what do you call it? Like a social distanced Halloween. And so last night we went to like a drive-through pumpkin patch kind of there out in Chatsworth, or no, where was it? Calabasas. And then today we did kind of like an Easter egg hunt, but with like these kind of pumpkin-shaped little pumpkins that we put stuff in them, and I hit them all over the place.
Oh, they were little plastic pumpkins, like at Easter. Okay.
Exactly.
That's so
Right,
cute.
hot, but with pumpkins, so it was great.
Nice.
Good
So I
idea.
just finished that, and they were all eating candy and exhausted. So I said,
And you
"You
left.
guys, that
That was your cue to get out.
Yeah, I was like,
before
God.
they could hit the sugar rush or something.
yeah, he's gonna have to ask me. I'm sure when I get back up there, but it's fine." You're like, really? right when the sugar rush hit, that's cool. That's fine. I
Just
get it.
like let them loose in the backyard. They'll run in circles. They'll fall over.
Yeah, they kind of were. That's kind of what was happening. So.
The sugar rush hitting is like where then they're finally working at the speed your brain normally works. But then when they crash, that's the part you have to run.
100%.
Yeah.
So what are the kids dressed as since you're not dressed up?
There was Mickey Mouse, Sage was Mickey Mouse, and Cash was, I think his name is Steve from Minecraft.
Oh, okay.
Oh, wow.
Okay, I don't know that. Never played Minecraft in my life, but I'll trust you on it.
I play a fair amount now. I only because those guys play, so I'm always, but I'm not good. They're much better than me. They've got like in 30 seconds, they've already made they found iron ore, and I'm still like just kidding. I'm getting murdered by zombies, and they're laughing. They think it's hilarious.
Mm-hmm.
But
I always try to build things not where I intend to build them, and then I try to take them away and I build on top of it, and I'm like,
Oh,
That is so cool. Did you guys make that?
that's awesome.
That is so cool.
Exactly.
That's awesome.
Oh my god.
amazing.
Did you guys like make that out of cardboard?
No, we bought. Yes, I made it out of cardboard actually.
You have all the time in the world to do that.
Yeah, I knocked you up a pretty accurate Minecraft costume just down in the workshop. No,
In your spare time, yeah.
I bought it. Sadly, I bought it. I wish I'd made it. I could make it. I feel like,
Yeah, of course you could.
for a bit, you know.
If you had the time and the will.
No, that's a yes. You know, there. I wish there was a world where I had time to do that. That'd be fun. But it's been pretty casual weekend. Have you guys been busy?
No. So I was just telling the girls, I live in the middle of nowhere. So we usually don't get trick-or-treaters, but like just to be, what I like to do when there's like a crisis, reverse trick-or-treating. And in like the past, when the power's been out and we couldn't, and like there's been dangerous roads, I've gone in and like given everyone candy and like brought the bucket to them. But this year I just put everything in baggies and brought it to everyone's mailboxes just to be socially distant.
Oh, that's cool.
That's what Steven is upstairs taking the kids to do the same thing. I hope soon.
Is it, it's like you're like a Halloween fairy of some kind, like you're like a tooth fairy and the Halloween version.
Yes.
Fairy, like you'd be frightened to have them in the room, but it's like it ends with candy, so it's okay.
Always.
yeah, you get away with it.
Yeah, I
no,
know. I wonder
I
if
love Halloween costumes. Did you see Mr.
Yes.
I did say that. That's amazing.
Yeah.
We love it. He looks so fun.
That's so cool. I was like,
And we
what?
went grocery shopping that way.
It was cool too because the mask under the mask made me like my brain took a second to like. You know,
You're like, wait, I didn't design that.
yeah. It's cool. It's cool. It's a wrinkle. I like it. No, it's good.
I don't know how he was breathing under it though. Like I have struggles to breathe under normal mask, let alone
Yeah,
under.
it's sealed in that plastic. It's pretty.
Yeah. Hopefully
Black,
there's
the fabric mask stops him from fogging up the plastic part, so he still looks cool.
That's
Oh, yeah.
true. Unintentional design win.
Or he's holding his breath.
Yeah.
Yeah, for the photo, as you would. Yeah.
Yeah. This is what I do when I take a picture with my mask and my glasses because otherwise it's impossible.
Yeah. You have to put them way down on the end of your nose.
Yeah.
Turn them into
With
readers.
the masks with the glasses is to make sure that the mask goes as high up as possible, just underneath your eye, and then you put your glasses on top of the mask. Obviously, I've been wearing a mask with glasses for a while now, but that's how it works.
Yeah, because I'm not.
It works the best for me that way, at least.
I'm not good at it because these are readers. I don't. So like I have like, you know, I have a lot of them because I.
Could you not get very focal ones?
2 in the
ones
car,
with,
4 in the
2?
studio. 6 at home.
Do you wear contacts like when you're working? Because the set photos never show you wearing glasses.
Yeah, because like I only just need them when I look at something.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's like how my dad.
And these are like these are, you know, they're bifocal, so I can. So when I look out there, I can still see. But I hear it.
Exclusive. Zack
Right.
Snyder is blind.
Stop the presses.
Tomorrow.
But the cool thing about like, you know, on a camera, you know, you can focus the eyepiece. So it's
Oh yeah, that's true.
So do you wear your glasses while you're looking through the camera? Because
No.
I cannot.
no, yeah, I don't. I set the eyepiece, and you know, really, my vision is pretty good. Like right there. Is I
Like,
can't.
that's a shape.
Yeah, no, sorry, right there. There's my.
So.
That's
One
my.
of the 10 pairs of glasses. Oh, just another camera.
Yeah, just a camera fell. Yeah, they're so camera. Like Eli, my son he was down in my office the other day, and literally my table, because my desk is like it's like a you know, it's a table. It's like a dining room table kind of, right?
Mhm.
And it's just covered with cameras, all kinds of cameras. And I had all my Polaroids out, just piles of Polaroids just I was just going through them. So it's like all these old photographs. He's like, so he comes in and he's like, so you like photography? I guess? You have an interest in photography, seems? That's based on
How old is Eli?
what is he? Is he 22 or I think he's going to be 22. Maybe he's 23.
He's still got the smart ass in him.
Sassing you.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
never going. That's not going.
Yeah, they're
anywhere.
never gonna get rid of that. Yeah.
No, actually, no, I don't think it'll do.
He's actually upstairs because you know this office is our house is kind of up the hill, and then we have the office downstairs. So and he was down here working. I think he's got the shoot coming up. So he's getting ready for his.
You guys never stop. There's always like a million things, moving parts.
Yeah, good. It's very productive down here. Like it's always very. I just built this little what do you call it? Like a workshop out in the back. You know, because the house
You
is
could build that Halloween costume.
the house is a little too fancy.
You had to build that.
It's exactly right. That's what I'm next year. Very elaborate 8-bit costumes that are going to get built down there. I see some there's a question here.
This is a great question.
What your first
my
camera
first
was?
camera was? My first camera, well, my mother bought me a Super 8 camera for my 11th birthday, I believe it was. And it was a Canon 1014 SLX, I believe is the correct. I'm going to double check that right now because I have.
Are you bringing that up from like a mental picture, looking at the model number in your head?
I was.
Yeah.
Canon 1014 SLX.
You know, my first camera was just one of those ones you gotta throw away at the end. Like, damn.
You mean like a cardboard camera?
Yeah.
That's cool.
My
The Polaroid, you have to do the whole, shake it to get the picture going.
You know, my first camera was at age 13. My mom actually just borrowed it to me. It was the one that you had to look through. You couldn't actually see what you were taking. And I took it on a trip because we went on a school trip to Belgium, France, and UK. And I came back and we were like, okay, I got all these awesome pictures. So I got to show them to you. And I'm done. And there was nothing on them.
Oh.
Like maybe 3 of
That
them
is
were
not-
useful.
my mom and her sisters had this great idea for my grandparents' 50th anniversary to give all the young grandkids disposable cameras. What? That thing's crazy for an
Yeah,
old.
that's it right there. XLS, not XLS, not SLX. I think I got those. My dyslexia kicked in on that. Anyway, yeah. Sorry. Go ahead. What were you saying?
But like, so they gave it to all the younger grandkids. So we're all about like knee height. So all the pictures were either kneecaps or like up and some of them like had fingers over the lenses. I think I got 1 or 2 good pictures, but that was a terrible idea. My dad's a photographer. They should have just had him do the photos.
Yeah, well, but there is that sort of thing where, photographers,
it's like being a computer repairman. You don't want anyone to know because then everyone wants you to do work for them.
That's exactly it. Like when I was growing up, I missed every social gathering because I was charged with photographing it. So I was like, hey guys.
Are you taking a prom? My camera.
I get in the conversation that take damn pictures. I'm like, okay. That's it. So yeah, so it's bad. I remember my sister and I were, I think we were like in Lake Tahoe or someplace, and we'd been skiing all day, and it was like I was in college, and there were some people, and they were going to take a picture. They go, hey, could you take a picture of us? It was like in a jacuzzi, and I was like, yeah, sure, I'll take a picture. No, they asked my sister. My sister's like, my brother's a film student. He should I'm like, yeah, let me take the picture with your thing. Like, there, great, this is good.
Do you ever like to see someone trying to like take a selfie and you're like, please let me help you, I'm cringing? Because I have when I do see, it's more when I see someone like a group of like someone taking a photo of someone else, and I always like, you can't turn it off. You're like, and you're standing in the wrong place, and the sun's blocking you out.
Just tilt down a little bit, but yeah, I'm always
directly into the midday sun.
I always volunteer whenever we're anywhere, like if we're at a museum or a canyon, and someone goes, can anyone take a picture? I'm like, I'll take it.
You're like, please, for my soul, I'm
happy to take it.
I hope anyone who has had their picture taken by you has it framed somewhere saying "taken by Zach Snyder."
I don't think so.
Exactly.
I don't think so. I don't. Well, I just feel like everybody I haven't had the experience of someone going,
hey, are you?
Hey, take my picture, and then like.
See, that would be perfect though, because while you're taking the picture, the realization will be caught on. That'd be
so everybody's looking like.
Although I do
in the picture.
One time, like I remember when I was, it was like after I think Man of Steel or someplace where.
Sorry, I like
killer Zack Snyder costume.
Readers in a white V-neck, basically.
Easy. Hey, it's Haynes.
Just like Henry Cavill, he only owns one kind of shirt.
Yeah.
Henry got that blue tank top, and that's it.
Yeah. But it's but yeah, no. So we were in Hawaii, and this guy was like, "Can I take a picture? Will you take a picture?" I'm like, "Yeah." He goes, "No, I want to take a picture of you." I was like,
that was Chris Pong.
that was the first time I was like, okay, that's weird. Like, okay.
You're like, that's weird.
And that was after Man of Steel?
It was like a sunset, and he was with his girlfriend, and he goes, hey, can I get a picture? And I was like, oh, God, yeah, this is great. He goes, no.
I don't know how you sunset. I don't know how you do stuff like that for a living. I directed one photo shoot for a bunch of Naruto cosplayers, and I was hoarse by the end because I was screaming so much. And everybody was mad at me because I was like, no, you stand here and you do this. It was like Naruto cosplaying.
Clearly,
never again.
I mean, that's basically the job, so you've got to figure it out.
Yeah. Do you ever yell at people?
You ever get off set and you're like, I have screamed so much?
I don't notice until the end when I'm going like, it does go though. The voice does go by the end of the day. So
yeah, but
it's better. Recently I don't yell as much. I don't think as I used to. Not yell. I don't really yell, but like
I think if you yell, everyone would stop moving.
I imagine sets are not like quiet places. I mean, even when it's like quiet, there's still a million other things, and like you're how far away from whoever it is that you're filming. So
yeah, no, it's 100%. You know, and they'll never give me a walkie-talkie because like they know better. Because I'll just
you'll forget to turn it off or something.
Or like a megaphone. I've never had a megaphone. That's like, you know, that feels like a thing every director gets to have. Hello.
Okay, Mick, I know you're in the chat. That's going to be the next time we get a gift for Zach. We're getting him a megaphone.
I swear to God, like, I picked it up and like I see people going like, no.
I feel like if we got you a megaphone, Debbie would not be happy. She may never speak to us again.
We just get Debbie a bigger one. We get Zach one that's like this big.
Yeah.
And we get Debbie a real one.
Like, can you find the thing that actually makes him quieter? It's like a
yeah. Hold it backwards.
Yeah, hold it like that. Like looking in binoculars the wrong way.
So I've seen in the chat, I've seen some couple of questions about this. Is there a horror movie you'd like to direct, Zach?
Oh wow. You know, I'm always I guess I have. It's funny because I always go like, oh yeah, I need to make a horror movie. I've never made one. I'm like, oh, I guess Dawn of the Dead is kind of a horror movie, but I don't really look at it that way. And Army isn't really a horror movie either because it's kind of, I mean, there are horror elements, and there's moments when it's scary, and it's definitely
zombie
gory,
is so hard,
but it's not horror. But there are, I'd like to make a horror movie. I think. Be fun. I don't know which one.
You'd probably do a Killer Frankenstein.
Frankenstein's cool. Or like
or something with werewolves.
So what's your favorite horror movie?
My favorite horror movie. I mean, it's hard to say only because like what movies have gotten. Like, okay, what movies have scared you and what movies are your favorite movies? Those are kind of different things a little bit.
Okay. And
I think like one time I did get scared by The Ring. You know that movie, The Ring? I remember that I watched it at home.
Hi, Zach.
Hi. Zach is joining us.
How are you?
Good. I'm good. I'm telling my story about how I got scared by The Ring. You know that movie?
Oh, yes. I watched that movie when I was, I think 14 or 15 in high school.
I thought you were going to say when I was 5. It was super scary.
It was scary, yeah.
Well, I had watched it on DVD at home, and I watched the whole movie, and I was like, wow, that was kind of scary.
Then I cut my phone lines.
And then I went to the special features, right? And I was alone. And I put on they have the actual Ring movie, the little film, the weird little film with the ladder and the well and the whole thing, right? So I played that, and I remember watching it. And what happens is in the special features, it plays, and then like 2 beats later on the surround track, a phone rings.
No, thank you.
Oh yeah.
It got me. I was like,
I was so scared.
I was kind of thinking like, this isn't that scary. This is dumb. Like this isn't scary. And then it ended, and I was like,
You got.
And I was like, oh shit! Like, I got like fucking goosebumps, and like, yeah, so that yes, but like. My favorite, like a movie that Dead Ringers is probably like I would say, you know, one of my favorite. Like I love Cronenberg. Everybody does, but anything that's all good stuff.
Girls, go around. Let's go around and say our favorite horror movies again. I'm not starting because mine's way too telling about me as a person.
You know,
I'll go. I mean,
I asked the question. Well, now that you said the movie that actually scared you, the movie that really scared me was Candyman, because I was, I saw it, and then I was a kid, and my cousin dared me to do the Candyman in front of the mirror thing, and and so of course, you know, one of my brothers was there and scared me to death, and I thought for sure that I'd sit in that window in the mirror and said his name, and that all night long he was going to come and get me. Like, I just really, we really should not have watched that movie. Yeah, and so my favorite horror movie, actually, right now, I think the Lovecraft Country stories have replaced everything.
Oh.
Those were very scary, but those were amazing.
Yeah, but again, they didn't scare me, but they're really good horror.
Oh, cool.
Well, the one with the girls, they scared me pretty good. But
I don't scare very easily. Okay, my favorite is kind of an indie. I've just found out it was like an indie horror movie. It's American Mary. Have you ever seen it?
I don't know it.
Oh no, you're right. And it's basically about a med student who gets wrong, who's training to be a surgeon. She gets wronged by her teacher. She's also down on her luck, but really talented, and she starts doing black market plastic surgery and getting revenge on those who've hurt her. And it's incredibly gory.
No. Oh my gosh. I'm not surprised. Coming from you, I'm not surprised.
That is.
That's the stuff you like.
It's so good. It's by these girls who direct together called the Twisted Twins.
Oh my Lord.
Yep.
Well, lives up to the brand.
Now we know what she meant when she said that if she describes her favorite horror movie, everybody she's gonna give herself away.
Fine.
But like a movie that actually, I rarely get afraid of horror movies for some reason. They're just kind of like, I love watching them. But one that did scare me was when I watched The Strangers. And that was because I chose to watch it at 1:00 in the morning. Everyone, including all of my friends, international or local, were asleep. So I was literally alone. Mm-hmm. And then I like turned on the lights and I hear something. I hear the wind hit the garage downstairs, and I'm like, fuck. I'm gonna die.
Did you take garage?
I hate that. Then you want to go to sleep so that you can forget it, but you also don't want to go to sleep because you're going to die in your sleep. Like, it's the worst.
No, Cole, say garage.
Garage.
It's garage.
It makes more sense.
The woman doesn't know how to pump her own gas, people. Let it go.
Garage? No, that's the first time I've heard of that.
Fat
I'm
mom.
British. So I'm British, so we say garage.
Yeah.
Saying. So
in Chicago,
people
we say garage.
So I'm Czech and we say garage.
It sounds so garage. Why does that sound pretty?
Everything in Czech sounds so fancy.
It does sound nice. I want to go there. I want to go to the garage.
Garage.
You know,
okay,
we're making fun of you. I want to tell one of her stories to Zach. I've been obsessed with her childhood stories of growing up in the Czech Republic.
Oh my God!
Moments after communism.
They're a completely different life than most of us, and it's just like, wow. I mean, I admire that. I don't know if I would be able to go through all of that as a young child, and you know,
I
give her props. Anna was John Wick growing up.
Old lady dragged me from the street. Okay.
Oh my Lord! That's intense. That's awesome.
See,
we
wanted to teach her son. Okay, that was nothing sketchy there, but it wasn't a good idea because I was like 13 years old. Walking down the street, there is this elderly lady speaking Russian to me. I only knew like how to say hello at the time, so I did because I'm polite, right? And then she basically dragged me to her apartment. Turns out that she wanted me to teach her grandson some Czech.
Oh my God! How old were you then? How old were you?
Big, but it's like, yeah, I could have been dead.
Abducted into a job.
But Nana, how old were you at the time?
13.
Yeah, see, I would have just been traumatized. Like, I just can't imagine. I would never want to leave to go outside ever. Like, that would be me. That would be my childhood if that happened to me.
Nah, Nana just went and got combat boots with steel toe. That was all.
Yeah, that's it.
Well, that was a couple years later, though.
Strong.
But yeah, that was essentially.
But what about your horror movie?
My horror movie? So here's the thing. I am absolutely terrified of dolls, which is the reason why I can't watch Annabelle, for example, and I had trauma watching Saw series. So we did this stupid thing with my friend, and we went to see The Woman in Black at midnight. And I'm never gonna forget that experience, being alone in the cinema watching The Woman in Black because of all those dolls and those creepy playing things. And it's just like, I don't even know what the rest of the movie was about. It didn't have to be about anything else. It was that alone that terrified me so much that, like,
if you haven't watched it yet, don't watch Bly Manor.
All right.
Or
Don't
don't
at all.
watch. There's this one horror movie that my dad and I tried to watch years ago, but it was so bad we turned it off within like 10 minutes, and it was Dead Silence.
Yeah. Oh yeah, Dead Silence. Is
And
awesome.
I love the rhyme, "Beware the stare of Mary Shaw," but that's it. It's like everything else. It was just so
That
bad.
movie is hilarious.
I love bad horror movies, though. Like, they're such great
They're
comedy.
funny. They're funny.
Yeah. When horror fails, it's like a beautiful flame.
Yeah. Because, you know, technically it's so earnest, right?
Yes. Yes, exactly.
Okay, Fatma, I've been trying to get it out of you. What's your favorite horror movie?
Yes.
So this is recent memory. So I have several for different reasons, because with horror you've got the supernatural side of horror, and then you've got the gory side, and then you've got the things that make you have, you know, they go deep inside your mind without it having any ghost elements in them. So for example, like Get Out took a strange turn.
Ooh.
And like what's the other movie that Jordan Peele did after it that also was interesting
Us.
with the tethered? Us. Yes,
Yeah.
exactly. So for
That was
those,
creepy.
for that
Yeah.
style of movie, that is what I really, really enjoy when I want to watch something like that. But for example, with ghost ones, I think The Conjuring was really good, especially like the way James Wan and the actors did it. And like Wilson, they're both amazing. Like all of them in that movie were just so brilliant. And that series has a really interesting story as well, because it has like the element of it being in real life as well. So that's, well, the fact that it's a real story from the people that were alive who did it. I can't remember the names. And then obviously you've got the classics like The Shining, if you can class that as horrors. And then like, I think I even mentioned Dr. Sleep in one of our streams before, because I think the way that the director did Dr. Sleep was so good in how he merged, you know, The Shining's cult classicness and how he brought about the story and finished it off in that sense. So yeah, so it's a myriad, because horror is such a broad genre in my opinion. So that's my answer without having like a cop out one only.
By the way, one note about Patrick Wilson: I can't I can't watch those horror movies with him anymore without thinking you're an asshole in Aquaman. You're a terrible brother.
But he's amazing in Watchmen. He's amazing.
I remember him from Watchmen first and foremost.
I did like him in that film. I thought he was very good in that.
Well, I mean,
you should remember him from Watchmen, and then
I do, but it's just like everything, like where he's a nice guy. I'm like, you're an awful brother.
Yeah, he's very nice. In Watchmen, he's very like, well, Lori.
He's so cute and nerdy in Watchmen.
Yeah.
He likes his owls. Oh, geez.
And then he's a worm, and it's just like, you went from being the nerd who got beat up by the football player to the football player who beat up the nerd.
Look,
like,
it's only acting.
He's versatile. He's got a great range.
Is it though?
That's all.
I mean, he sings,
percentage of acting.
He sings too, right? So, like, is there an end to Patrick Wilson's talent?
He's very versatile.
I mean, between Zach and James Wan, they use him a lot.
Yeah, I do. He's a great guy. He's amazing. He's a great actor, and he's also fun to be around. Listen, Mike, I've got to go. I'm going to do this. I'll check in with you guys. When is the next one? November something.
November 10th on Tuesday.
November 10th. Maybe I'll check back. Could be like
Okay.
Awesome.
Yes, we'll have
I
more
could do it.
questions.
Wait, I have to ask you, Zach, something.
Yeah,
What's your favorite Halloween candy or candy in general?
Ooh, smart.
We need another fight on timeline.
My favorite Halloween candy.
Or any just candy in general.
Yeah, no,
since today's Halloween.
I'll probably have to say Reese's cup would probably be.
I love those. Yes.
Yeah.
Sit with us.
Have you tried the one with the dark chocolate on the outside?
Yeah, right there.
These are the mini ones.
Is it like
I brought them
exotic?
along
Is it hard
because
to
it's
find,
Halloween.
or have I just gotten it in the mix? Do I have to seek out the dark chocolate? Because I can't remember it.
They have it. I mean, I see it in the stores. I just saw it maybe like last week.
Dark chocolate.
All right, fans, you heard it. He likes dark chocolate Reese.
Okay.
You're gonna get a package of 10,000
Dark
dark
actually better for you.
I mean, if you would have said candy,
Okay,
I think it would have been a fight or something.
The dark chocolate, obviously.
And peanut butter, that's good for you too. So it's like
Yeah,
a really
it's protein.
peanut butter and dark
Protein,
chocolate.
antioxidant,
You add those two
basically
together,
health food.
and that's like the healthiest candy that you can find
What is Reese's cup is the healthiest candy?
with dark chocolate.
Protein because of
With
peanut
dark
butter.
chocolate.
With dark chocolate.
Yeah.
Good for you.
I'm sorry. I'm told. That's enough. That's
All
all I
right, you
need.
guys. All right, I'm gonna run. It's awesome. You guys.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Coming.
Soon.
You
Thank
have to
guys.
come next week.
Happy Halloween.
Yeah.
Next
Happy
time.
Halloween to you.
Happy Halloween.
Thanks, guys.
Bye.
Bye.
Have a good night.
You always get on food.
Breathe, Fatma, breathe. Can I say what I think his actual favorite horror movie is?
What?
Just like, what?
Oh, I know what you
That was the one that popped into my head. I went,
Well, you sneezed. Say it again.
Nope. She was being sarcastic. She said,
Oh,
Are you okay? It's not okay.
the movie we don't talk about.
I'm
I'm
standing
not
from
doing
here.
it a second.
Fatma, breathe in,
sarcasm.
honey. Breathe in.
I'm standing here like
you can turn off your camera for a minute if you need to. It's okay.
Who's going crazy?
Fatma.
Oh.
I see her and I'm like standing her from. I'm like, we're like at an ocean in several states between us. I cannot. I don't know why.
You're like, you wanna be at her.
Standing here like
Everybody fan Fatma.
like it does anything.
I could use my wings to fan. Does that work?
The Brit, ascended button.
You know, so I was thinking,
It's
last time we
been such an emotional week and such
That's
a
true.
horrible, like, with everything that's happening, and then, like, he surprised us with this, so it's just...
Oh, honey.
Oh.
Okay.
I think you need to
Fatma needed
find your
this.
little brother. You
It's been a rough month.
No, these are happy tears, and I'm so happy that, like... Also, happy Halloween, guys! And I've got some Reese's. We don't say candy, we say chocolate. So yeah, I've got some Reese's.
Oh, you don't say
as a
you don't say
gift for
candy?
you all. No, we don't say candy at all. It's either sweets or
chocolate
like
and sweet?
gummies.
Oh, I was telling
Oh,
Nana
chocolate.
about when I went to London, like with my family to visit. There was this orange. It was like orange chocolate, but in the shape of an actual orange, and like even like the slices, like when you open it up. I can never find it anywhere here.
Oh,
Basically,
You
you
have
know what you
one.
do with the cherries chocolate orange is like
yeah,
you
we
put
have
it
them
in
at
a bowl,
Christmas.
and then you
At
bang
Christmas.
it, and that's
Yeah.
And
that's
then, and then you
orange
can even see
chocolate
like
ID.
the slice, like the
So
We have that every Christmas.
shape of it and everything's perfect. That I was like maybe
shipping chocolate oranges to the States to the girls.
I think I was like 10 or
No,
11.
they have them at Christmas. They're
They
in
only
Walmart.
have them at Christmas. You can get
Okay,
them
where
in
can I
only
find it
have
at Christmas?
her-
Somebody
I've
tell me
never
where
had
to
a
go.
chocolate orange.
in any of the grocery stores. You can go. Any of the grocery stores.
I'll get you
Any
an address
grocery
and I'll
store?
send you one.
Okay.
Yes.
We'll
I'll
send
send
you
you
one
one.
if you
We
guys
have
don't
it
have
around-
it.
I've been looking. I mean, they have chocolate
Yeah.
this and chocolate
There's like
that, but they
2
don't
weeks
have
in
that
December.
actual chocolate orange that I want.
Yeah.
There's like 2 weeks in December you can find them, and then no other time.
Yeah.
So is there
Like the
like
cherry
where's
cordial.
any
Yeah.
grocery store? Is there a certain one like
Anyone,
Costco or
Walmart
like
has them.
Aldi, or
has
is there
like anyone.
something?
Walmart.
But you have
Walmart
to
has
look
them.
like You have to look like
it'll be with the stocking stuffers.
Yeah,
like the bigger candy bars and stuff. Like the big Hershey Kisses. Okay. It'll be in there.
And they go quick. They go quick. So you need
Maybe
like
that's too.
I know too much.
Somebody tell me what day that I need to go. Like what's the first day?
When I see Walmart flipping over to Christmas, I'll give you a heads up. Because that's
they're doing it right now. They're literally doing it right now.
So basically, we have this around like literally at all times of the year. I think we don't have a specific time for it.
Yeah, because it was like I went during, I think it was like our summer, and I went to the store and I got one, and then I told my parents, "Can we go back to that chocolate store and get more?" So that was like my impression when I went there. My memory of London going there as a 10-year-old is that.
We used to have
so for everyone watching.
Rasha says nobody buys them there. They're
Why
everywhere.
In my
I always see them in the stores, but yeah, I don't like. So for me, I don't actually buy them because then I would eat bunch and then I forget about them. So I wouldn't buy them for myself. But if you girls want, like, I can grab bunch from the store and just send them to you. That's not a big deal.
Yeah.
Was the choice? Yeah.
Why do we always get on food? Like, I mean, we
it's not just any food we get. Like, I've noticed it's sweets, but we're females and we love sweets. I mean, that's like a fact. All females love sweets, and if you don't, then I don't know what's wrong with you. Sorry.
But you are deficient. So, speaking of sweets and food, earlier this week, Fat Mom made, was this yesterday?
It was yesterday.
Something Martian Manhunter drink. I saw.
The milkshake.
Martian Manhunter.
I think I tweeted it out if you want to put it up. I don't know if it'll show well if I put it on the camera.
Yeah, it's on you tweeted it. I know you did.
Yeah, I did. I tweeted it. So if you
just
put it up.
Yeah, you know what? I'm
curious
as to send the link in
got that name,
and I can pull it up on a screen.
Beautiful. She made a milkshake.
Yeah. So where did you get the name Martian Manhunter? I love that name and I love how it looks, and I really want to drink one, but I want to know the origin of the name.
You got to send me that recipe. My brother's been obsessed with making smoothies and milkshakes. I'll
just give it to everyone here. I'll give it to everyone here. So I bought a tub of vanilla ice cream, and the vanilla ice cream is basically just, you can get your generic one, or if you want it to be super smooth and super nice, get a little bit of a bougie one. Spend the extra 50 cents or a pound or however many it is in wherever you are. And then I use whole milk. Do not use half and half. Do not use skimmed. Anyone who uses skimmed, I cut you out of my life, because what is that stuff?
I drink skimmed milk, so are you going to cut me out?
Oh, no. You're the only exception. Okay.
She basically said, she's like, I will cut you out. I drink.
I don't know why that's so
funny. It's fine. But you can't use. No, I'll cut you out of my life if you use skimmed milk for a milkshake, because if you're having a milkshake, it has to be like thick and creamy, and
So that means I would have to buy whole milk, which I haven't done in decades. Okay.
Do you not have like a small amount, like a small carton, or does America not do small?
We don't have nothing small in America, honestly.
Yeah, but why would I keep one in the fridge when I drink skim?
Darling, use whatever milk you prefer, even oat. Whatever milk floats your boat, use it.
No,
it's just a great way to make it.
I mean, I can get a small carton for the recipe.
It's up to you. Do whatever you want to do, but this is the recipe.
Because then it's gonna be too like, it's not gonna taste good then, because isn't it gonna be like slimy because it's like thinner?
It won't be slimy. It just won't be as rich.
Yeah, ice cream might help though.
Make it creamy. The creamy part of the texture
thing
is from the
I
fat
don't know how American milk system works, in all honesty, because I've never been, so I don't know what milk system grading.
It's not shelf-stable here.
Have you tried Overwise? We have Overwise milk.
We refrigerate it. It comes in bottles. It does
It actually
not
comes
come
in a
bags.
glass. It comes in a glass bottle.
Yeah, we don't have them in
Overpriced.
bags either.
You know
But yeah.
Overwise, right?
Yes.
Because you're from Chicagoland.
Yes. Overvoice. Well, so not only
It's
do
the
they
best
have like
milk in
you can buy the
Chicagoland.
milk
Kat,
in
you're
the store, but they
in
have
Chicago area.
yes.
Like, I think, oh my God, we're like close. I'm like 30 miles across the lake. I kid you not.
Yes.
I thought about swimming it when I saw all of that Batman stuff.
Where in Indiana?
Well, maybe
City.
don't swim it now. I'm not sure that's safe.
Oh, sorry. Yeah.
Not Lake Michigan. It's not a safe swimmer lake.
So just Chicago.
Listen, when all the Batman stuff was coming out, I thought I needed to get over there to see it.
You know they're filming that 2 weeks ago. They were 15 to I want to say 15, 20 minutes away from me.
Really?
And those roads were blocked. And I'm sorry, but I had no desire to go. If anything, I was annoyed that I had to go take the longer way to get to the mall.
I love you, Kat.
It sounds like everybody who lives in the city and people outside are like me. I want to go see it. Yeah.
And I live the closest probably out of everyone. And I'm just like,
where is everyone from today, since there's so many of you today?
Yes, George is
Where are you from in the chat?
Please do.
So we've got George from Greece, and just to recap, I'm from New Jersey. Nana's from Wales.
Well, no, yeah, I'm from
not even gonna attempt Welsh. Nope.
Huh?
You're in
not
Wales.
gonna attempt Welsh at all.
Yeah, well, no, let's not do Welsh.
Top of the morning to you.
Wait, so
I
don't. We never got the actual recipe.
I'm looking at Papa.
Yeah, you guys got on whole milk and derailed. So you know you gotta.
Yes, Ireland, Georgia. Well, like U.S. Georgia.
Australia.
Yeah.
Australia.
California.
Joey's my neighbor.
New Zealand. Oh, so cool.
Please. You have a beautiful country. Very jealous. It is literally the Shire, in case anyone hasn't told you yet.
Crime. Look, guys.
A couple of my friends love visiting South Africa, so I think they went for like an anniversary trip, I think. And their favorite thing is ordering the ridiculous pizzas that they make in South Africa. They sent us an ad for one that was a pizza topped with tiny, smaller pizzas. Like instead of pepperoni.
That's ridiculous.
I'm so surprised that that's in South Africa. I would expect that to show up in America first.
I thought the same thing. I was like, this is so weird.
Release the recipe.
We're not going to get
release the whole milk. If you have lactose intolerance, I'm not judging that. That was just a small little comment about my personal preference of milk. You can drink whatever your heart desires and do whatever your heart desires, but this is the base that I used, and you can alter it to fit your taste. So it was just a gallon, not gallon. We don't use gallons. I'm becoming Americanized, guys. It was like
gallon is a bit much.
No, we don't. So it was a 2-liter tub of vanilla ice cream, and it's because it was for the family, so I had to make at least 6 cups of them. You've only got the picture of the 3, and then I added milk to, you can keep it as thick as you like depending on how good your blender is. But if your blender isn't as great, then you want to use milk to make it easier for the blender to blend the milkshake, and then you add the Oreos in it. I used about 2 packets of Oreos. In America, your packets are big, as far as I can remember with your pictures, but in ours, it's just like a little. I'll take a picture and I'll tweet it out for those who want to know how our
everything
Oreos
in America is super size.
So again, that's to your taste as well. So if you want it to have a little bit of Oreos, add however much Oreos you want as you go along, and then taste it with a spoon and see if you want it to have a more concentrated Oreo flavor or something that's less. And then just top it up with a bit of whipped cream, add some chocolate syrup if you have some, and top it up with an Oreo piece for those who want to crunch on the Oreo as well. So that's the recipe, and it's just super easy. You just blend it and you keep going, and you just taste it as you go along and see if you want it to be thicker or more runnier. So, but don't add too much. If you add too much, then it goes too runny.
Beautiful.
The only thing that should be runny is noses.
And that's it. I don't want to talk about food anymore.
No, egg yolks. Egg yolks.
No, egg
Sorry,
yolk.
I'm a nurse, so I just say,
Absolutely not. Running
everything goes back to like body anatomy when it comes to me. It's when the nurse jumps out in me.
I love. How many of you are nurses? How many nurses do we have on here?
I'm a nurse.
Just Cat.
Just Cat. Oh, okay.
But I keep wanting to say Catma.
Also,
you know what? Cat is the cat woman, and Cat is Cat.
You're right. Wait, did you just cut yourself with your own nail?
No.
So this was a food-related injury today, which is why I don't want to talk about food anymore. It's why this nail doesn't have anything. So
we already interrogated. Me and Nana were like, "What did you do?"
Yeah,
I tried out a new knife.
Say hello. It was like, "What did you do?"
Yeah, I was trying out a new knife, and the new knife is extremely sharp. So,
well, that's good.
But it's not
for her thumb.
If your thumb were a carrot, you'd be very impressed.
That's imagery I didn't need. So Kat's a nurse, and I know Nash, who's not with us, she does social work, so that's kind of in there.
Okay.
And Fatmo, it does lab
Social
work.
workers help out nurses and doctors a lot, so
so
we rely on them.
And Fatma's the lab person.
Are you a phlebotomist, or do you read the lab results, blood work?
No, so I work in a medical laboratory, so the results that you take from the patient, we analyze them in the laboratory and deal with them and give you back the results so you can diagnose and see how the patient is. So pathology, basically.
Pathology. Okay, there you go. Now I get it.
Yeah.
So you're a pathologist.
I think that's what I'd be called in America.
In America, yeah, you would be called a pathologist because you're reading the blood and resulting the results to us. So you would be pathologist in America. Cool.
And Jonita is a English professor by day, journalist by night. And Amanda is a speech coach.
Yes, and
professional child wrangler.
Yeah, amateur professional child wrangler.
And I don't remember what you do, Chelsea.
I'm just a college student.
Peace. Word.
Oh, a baby.
Yes.
And Nana is a barista.
Nana makes coffee.
Yes.
Oh, I'm a double major, sociology and English with a focus in creative writing, and I have a film studies minor.
Yes. Ooh, yes.
A smart baby.
I have a sociology minor, and I wish I would have gotten it as my major. Absolutely.
I was going to make it a minor, but I'm happy I made it a major.
You can be Aaron Sorkin. You're the next Aaron Sorkin, but not a white man. It's amazing.
That makes it much better.
Aaron Sorkin, because he handles like social, historical, zeitgeist type things, and he covers them in film, and anyway, it worked.
Okay. So, ladies, this is a Halloween stream. It's a spooky stream. And I gave you all a little bit of a homework. And we promised to our listeners.
I didn't do the homework.
Okay, so everybody.
But point is,
I was working like 12 hours yesterday, so I didn't do my homework. I'm sorry.
It's
You
probably
can
somebody
just
who
go with
doesn't
a
know the
story
homework.
that you know or something. It doesn't have to be like in-depth research. It was just
Yeah.
a suggestion if you want it.
Just do AJ
Amanda,
Trump.
do you know the Shoe Factory Road story in Barrington?
I don't.
Ooh, I know that one.
Right?
Actually, that sounds familiar because one of my friends is from Barrington.
Yeah, that's actually, and it's a long time. It's like a haunted thing.
So
Can I go first? I have to get out.
what we're doing. So,
Renita goes first.
Yeah,
no,
that
hang
has
on.
to do.
Let's tell people what we're doing.
So you said to choose two, and one of them that I chose was the story of Belle Gunness, who was a widow who was murderous, and then I realized there was like a movie made, and everybody knows that story, so I'm not gonna tell that one.
Okay, so everyone, before Joe starts, what we're gonna do, we're gonna tell each other spooky stories.
Yeah.
So
yeah, some that hopefully nobody knows, but let's go.
Yes. So I'm going to tell you the one about my grandmother's ghost. So, this week I told you, I was on Twitter talking about my grandma who tried to vote and got, found this weird stuff happening to her. Well, she's also my grandmother who has a ghost as a friend, and he's lived in her house since she bought her house. She calls him Joseph. She talks to him all the time while she's quilting and everything. And he's like, they're like besties or something. He scares the hell out of us kids. Like all the grandkids, we can't, and she will leave us in the house. Like when I was like around 10, maybe she left us and she's, no, I'm going to just go to the store. And we're like, you're just going to leave us here. You're good. Oh, Joseph's watching you. He's here. I'm like, we're like, you're leaving us here with a ghost. And so, yeah, so that would freak me out. But there was one time we were playing hide and seek, hide in the closet. I get in there. My sister, of course, follows me. She's 5 years younger than me. We all are aware that this ghost is there. We're up in the second story that's like almost like an attic / bedroom. So there's a lot of clutter everywhere. And so we're in the closet and something's moving down at the other end of the closet, like behind the boxes. There's no one in there. It's me and my sister. Okay. So
Amanda's like, nope, I'm out. I'm done.
We're looking at each other. It's like, and so my sister goes, maybe it's Joseph. She's like, be nice to him. Grandma's nice to him. He's nice to her. So I'm like, Joseph, and then something just sort of goes, and then we were out of the thing, just like this. We left the closet. We're done. I'm like, nope, it's not happening. We're done. And there was nothing in that closet. Like we ran down the stairs, got my grandmother. She was upset because we were messing with her during her stories while she was quilting, and that's like a sign. If you have one of those grandmas or aunties who used to watch the stories, you mess with her during her stories while she was quilting, you're gonna get beat. Okay?
I did not care.
Yeah, well, I mean, not literally beat, but you might get a swat. Okay, so we risked like bodily injury because we were scared to death. She went up there and she's like, looking, there's nothing in this closet. There's nothing. She's like, oh, it was just probably Joseph. You guys just go off and play. And we're just looking at each other like, she's going to say it was probably the ghost and just leave us.
You're like, Grandma is insane. Wait,
she never understands why we're
the grandma you were tweeting about the other day?
Yes, it's her. Yeah.
How did I just had this feeling. She just gives this vibe like that she's completely a troublemaker.
She is. She so is. She almost, there was we took her to school with us one time. She came to visit us when we lived in Arkansas in that rural school, and everybody mistook her for being a lot younger than she was, most of the time people think she's my mom. She started flirting with one of my teacher's husbands. And that was almost an incident. Yeah. So
almost an incident.
Oh my god.
Yeah. So yeah, that's
unstoppable.
Yeah. You don't mess with her. You don't mess with her at all. You don't mess with her. I mean, she's also she works out. She gardens and she does a lot of outdoor work. So she's got guns. And so she did this thing when my brothers were just kind of messing around. She's like, oh, just hit me, just right here, just hit me right here in the shoulder, And they're like, no, you're my grandma. And you're not doing that. She's like, oh, come on. You're over there being tough. Just come on. And he just sort of just tapped her. She hauled off and he said his shoulder was hurting for the rest of the day. As a little old lady popped them.
When she says guns, she means
yes, she
means arm muscles.
Yes,
specifically.
Yeah.
Although,
anyway, but yeah, her best friend is a ghost. She never understood why we were afraid of him.
Does she still talk to Joseph even today?
Yes.
So you think after the incident at the polls, she went home and ran into Joseph?
Yes, and I'm pretty sure somebody at the polling station, if possible, probably got, pretty messed up by this whatever spirits are out there that he's friends with. I don't know how it works.
Is he in her house?
He's in her house.
And that's how she met him?
In her house, yep.
Okay.
In her house.
So he's not like the imaginary ghost accompanier or whatever she's had her whole life. This was like in her house.
Nice. It's always been in her house. Yeah. No, not one of those. No, she actually migrated. She came up from Arkansas, Mississippi through Chicago in that, one of the last migrations around the 70s, 60s. Mm-hmm. So yeah. And when she got this house, that was just one of the things that came with it, I guess. And it's always been haunted. And
I think it's a Chicago thing because the Shoe Factory Road thing.
That's not something they list on the amenities when you buy the house.
Oh no, it wasn't.
Totally with a friendly ghost.
Totally not. And I'm not even sure. I don't know how she knows that Joseph is his name, huh?
Sorry, I'm really interested in the Shoe Factory story. Oh my god!
It's like a street.
You guys are so local about it. It's so interesting.
It's like a street in South Barrington. It's abandoned, but supposedly the father killed all of his children, and another family they all committed suicide, and they
all on this road leading.
All on this road. This was I don't know the time frame. Maybe in the 60s, 70s, I think. I could totally be wrong. But there's ghosts now. So if you drive by, scary things happen. So when I was younger, my boyfriend and I, he's like, let's just go through the road, just drive through the road and see what happens. Like I said, I didn't want to go at all. But, he said, let's go. So I went. And in the middle, nothing was wrong with the car. So as we were going, the car stopped out of nowhere in the middle of the road, in the middle of Shoe Factory Road. We tried to call somebody. We had no cell service was low in that area. So we could not I don't know why cell service would be low. I mean, this is suburban Chicago. So we it was freaky. Our car just stopped. We couldn't have or call anybody to help us because we had low cell service. So we walked out to find the nearest. So we had to maybe walk half a mile to get to the main road, and then maybe further down a block or two down to get to the gas station. So he asked us, "Where's your car and what happened?" And we were like, well, can we just buy the thing? And then we need some help for a jump start. So he was all ready to go and help us. Okay. He's okay, let's go. And then he said, where are you guys going to? Shoe Factory Road. He's like, oh no, I'm sorry. I cannot do that. He's like, here, you can take the gas for free. But I said, we need a jumper. And we need a car, and instead his one of his employees that was working by the snack area, he's like, I'll go help them, and at least so he came and helped. But the owner, no way.
That's hysterical.
Yeah, but it's there's other stories too where you if you walk by one of the houses that I don't know, I never did walk by that house, but the one where the adult killed the dad killed the child, you can hear the child still screaming when you walk outside the road.
Yeah, I've heard that.
Joe, have you had any experience in this spooky?
Did you ever go to make a trip down there?
I've never been there, but I've heard of it. I've never been there, but I've heard of it. So,
Nana, you know what I'm thinking, right?
Yeah, but before you think, we will have to say goodbye to Joe, and so before we do that, we need to announce our giveaway winners.
Oh,
so
okay.
will you take over?
So I put everybody who entered name in my Wayne Industries hat because I'm on brand. And how many winners?
Three.
Okay.
So let's wait. Hang on. We got 3 different comics. So we have the deceased one with the poison ivy. We have a one with the Catwoman, and we have one with the punchline. So let's select the first winner.
Okay, so what do you want? Who do you want the first one to go? Like what comic?
We can give all 3 away to one person, or we can give one three different people.
What do you, Joe? It's your donation. What do you want?
I was thinking that just one lucky person, since it's the first
one lucky person. All right, then let's do that.
Happy Halloween to
Jacob Torres.
Hopefully Jacob is in the chat. Hopefully he's watching. If not,
he is one of the legendary people with Danny and Nash who announced the release the Snyder Cut with Zach.
Yes. So he's not gonna get a set of really, really cool comics, and I'm so jealous.
From House of L Comic on Instagram.
Yes.
And we will get these in the mail to you on Monday. So congratulations. I've got these 2. The Peach Momoko one is safely tucked away. That's the valuable one, the most valuable one. So but we'll get these to you. Did you guys have the contact information and everything?
Yeah, we'll get it. Jacob's in the chat, but we have
he's also from Chicago too.
Really?
Oh, nice.
Yes.
Really?
Chicago people.
So we'll get in touch with Jacob because I believe we have him on Vero, and I believe we have him as a mutual on Twitter as well. So we can get in touch, and we'll get you the address so we can send it as soon as possible.
Yes.
All right then. So
now, Joe, go tend to your children.
I got to get out of here, guys.
Happy Halloween, Joe.
Happy Halloween.
Bye. All right, so we carry on with the scary stories now.
Well, what I was saying was you know what I'm saying, which means we're going.
Okay, so my light is...
Oh, God damn it.
If we visit Chicago, we're going.
Oh, yeah, I will take you.
Chicago has some of the best ghost tours. I mean, first of all,
Chicago has known for like
we did a ghost tour in Philadelphia.
Second of all, Valentine's Day Massacre. Like, Chicago is very haunted, and they have tours where you like can go around on a party bus and get wasted, and then they take you off in these haunted places, and you get freaked out. It's great.
Well, that sounds like a lot of fun, actually. Well, I have to excuse myself for a second, but I figured that I'm going to throw in one story that Cole could tell because she was the guest in my grandparents' apartment, since we're talking about the ghosts. So she can tell you all about that one time that she came to visit me in Czech Republic, and we ended up sleeping over at my grandparents' flat or apartment, whichever part of the world.
Back, right?
Of course I'm coming back. I just need to grab something.
I need to recharge a selfie light, so I'll be back in like 1 minute.
Okay, brief intermission then.
Well, I mean, you carry on with the story. Okay. I just wanted to throw your story in because, like, I felt like this is something that people will enjoy.
Okay, so Nana's from a village that is about an hour away from Prague, Czech Republic.
What do you mean village? It's a town.
You call it a village whenever you talk about it.
Nana, go! Aren't you supposed to be gone, Nana?
Thank you, Amanda.
I'm going.
Anyway, She lives in a town that she usually calls a village, but apparently is offended right now for no reason. And it's about an hour. She grew up in one, and it's an hour from Prague, and it's right on the edge of the border between Germany and Czech. And so and also by Russia, where the Russian border is. And so this town, when the Russians were occupying, they took over most of her town, and they occupied these buildings. And so for a while, when they left, there was a bit of a moment where they were like, well, if you can claim, you didn't have to buy the place. If you can claim an apartment, it's yours. Because the Russians left, and they had to leave they had to leave as if their stuff, everything. They had to get out of Dodge. And so her family has 2 flats. One that is one she grew up in, which is in the city center. And then the other one, which is still in the city, but it's toward the edge, and it's owned by her grandparents. Her grandparents don't live there. They live in a cottage out in near where the natural spas are, because they have a spot. They're a spot called a spa town, and so the flat is usually unoccupied, and it's usually just for if family comes into town, or if grandma and grandpa are coming into town, into the city center, or if weather's going to be bad and it's safer to be in town. So we go to this flat. And it's nice. It's nice, very modern. It's got all of the normal amenities. And Nana's telling me all these things about it, and I'm like, okay, whatever. But I'm not a disbeliever because I've experienced supernatural before. But I didn't expect to be so alarmed. So there's one spot in the kitchen where there's a cold spot, and so that's cold as in all times of year it's cold. So, but I couldn't really.
About 5 degrees colder than the usual rest of the flat. You walk in there, and the temperature drops 5 degrees. So we put fridge in there because what else would you put in there?
Yeah. And I didn't really notice because I'm always cold. But then the next we the night is uneventful. We drink some beer, we watch some Harry Potter, and then the next morning we're getting ready to go see her grandparents. And so we're both getting dressed up pretty nice. And I go over to this mirror in the hall that's and to take a look at myself. And I'm looking at myself, and I'm adjusting because I'm wearing my Slytherin tie. I'm fixing my hair. All of a sudden, it becomes blurry and gray. And I'm like, Nana, hun? And she's like, what? Did the mirror do the thing? And I was like, what thing? And so she explains that it just does that sometime. And at that point, I was just like, you know what? Blanket on the mirror. That's enough of that. Mm-hmm. I tried to take a selfie, but it looked so warped that it usually I don't spook. So I took the selfie in a mirror selfie, like a MySpace emo anyway. And I kept it, but then after a while, every time I would flip through my camera roll and I would see it, I would get the shivers, so I deleted it. And I wish I didn't, because what it did to the camera on my iPhone was wild. But I was but she was like, oh, it's doing the thing. And I'm like, what thing? Excuse you. But the point of the pre-prologue of the story is the fact that the house is old. It's really, Czech Republic is literally one giant haunted country. It's they have a church built of bones.
Oh yeah, that one's fun. Multiple, actually.
Human bones.
Yeah, there's a church in the city nearby Prague that you can go to, and that church is actually freely accessible. It's a tourist attraction. But what happened is, at the time, in the era, it was during Hussitian Wars, and then also followed by a plague. So a lot of people died, and they didn't have where to bury them. So in order to honor the dead and somehow bury them, this one guy just took it upon himself to take all these people, these bones, and make it a decoration for a church.
So that's perfect.
So there is a church that is basically entirely decorated by bones. Is like a bone chandelier, and it's like so much. And basically, it is said that there's anywhere between 40 to 70,000 people in there.
It's just the sane person's solution to any problem. Just saying.
I can let me find pictures. Let me pull up a picture for you, because like it's really hard to describe.
I'm pretty sure that I've seen it before on like I don't remember what
it's
weird television show I was watching, but I'm 100% sure I've seen a church made of bones. It might be this one.
It's funny, you know, before I met Nana, none of this, there was so many like spooky things from her country that I wasn't aware of. And then I met her, and like now when I see a top 10 list for the most haunted spots in the world, and they bring up like 2 spots from Czech Republic, I'm like, oh, I know about that.
Okay,
I want to visit there.
This is what it looks like.
Zoom in on it.
Yes, I have seen this before. Not in person. Not in person.
Yeah, I have been inside. It's a bit like, so what is absolutely morbid to me about this? So if you look, there are these like 2 arches on the side. Mm-hmm. And if you would look closer, they're basically filled with bones. It's a pile of bones. I'm not even joking. And the problem that there was with this is that people, for whatever freaking reason, when it started to be a touristy attraction, people actually went and started stealing the bones. I don't know why.
Tourists.
Are they real bones? They're real bones, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, they are real dead people. There is 40 to 70,000 corpses down there.
Oh wow!
Rearranged and decorated.
Chelsea's face says, "Absolutely not."
I saw a TikTok today where somebody had like spines, and it was just like actual real spines, and I'm like, why or how?
Yeah,
I would love
spines.
Like human spines, and he had like children. He like children's spines too. I'm like,
it was. It was probably some. There's a lot of people in the death industry that actually have TikTok. Like the more I've watched, death industry.
Death industry TikTok.
Yes, it's literally the death industry. There's funeral directors. There's morticians. There's brain. Where did you go?
I don't know. I can't. Brain.
Autopsy people.
There you go. Corners.
Thank you. Oh, frick. And like people who do gravestones, who do preservation. Yeah. Like I've seen so many people who do all of these things. There's the only person I've seen who does anything with bones though is the when you preserve an animal.
Taxidermy.
Is that?
Thank you. Wow, my brain.
This is like a great game. I don't know.
This is Nana's life with me. Sometimes my brain just shuts off, and I'm like, "Word, what is the word?"
The funny part of this is that I am the foreigner in this group, so like sometimes she goes word, and I'm like, "Well, how am I supposed to know?" So.
You can usually figure it out.
So here's the thing. My high school biology teacher did have a real human skeleton in our room as like our class skeleton. Her name was Lucy, and she donated her body to science. And so we got the privilege of having Lucy in our classroom with us. And like she hung from the ceiling, and she was cool. But like it didn't really bother me at all until looking back. I'm just like, how did we get? I know you donated some to science, but like that doesn't go to like a high school classroom. How do we get those?
That you'd be surprised.
Wendy, you are absolutely killing me here. Like
that is not what I expected when they told they had a fair share to pay for
True.
when I was 8, my grandparents on my dad's side, my abuelo and abuela, they passed away, and within a few months of each other, and they both had it in their will to donate their bodies to science. And my Uncle Dave, their eldest son, loves to joke that he got them back in a shoebox. I used to never understand what that meant because I was so small at the time, but now I understand, like, we don't know exactly, like, Uncle Dave's got the paperwork somewhere, but he also is, like, careless, so he probably lost it, used it to line his rabbit cages, I don't know. But, like, there's so many things you can do for donating to science, and for some, if you when you give your body to science, you have to sign on your release form that you're okay with your whole bones being kept, because some family members demand to have something back to bury.
Yeah, like a relic of some kind.
Yeah, so, like, for my grandparents, I think that they were I think my abuela, because she was a little cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs at the end, I think she went to be studied for mania and being insane, a little cuckoo. But then my abuelo, who was just, a Great Depression, like, break off, like, comic book artist. I don't know what the hell they used him for, but they got them both back in a shoebox. And I don't know what happened to that shoebox. Uncle Dave would probably, he's the kind of uncle where he wouldn't give you a straight answer. He'd probably tell me he used the box to return sneakers or something, and then whoops. But there's a body farm here in America. I don't know.
I was just gonna say that's my plan when I die. Unless my kids like veto it or something, if they're old enough to veto it, like, I really would like to be used for forensic science. They just lay you out, and then they're like, how long does it take this person to decompose under various conditions? Covered, uncovered, buried, unburied.
It's so cool. And there's one in Texas, I believe. And I think there's another one up north in Maine, because they need to have these different, like, extreme
climate.
Yeah, they're so cool.
I think there's one in Kentucky or Tennessee.
Oh, there's a lot more than I thought.
And then there's a couple of universities who have, like, their
own mini
cadaver labs, but, like, some of them are I don't remember which one. One of the universities has their cadaver lab, like, underneath their football field. So it's like they call their football stadium the Boneyard or something. Somebody's going to know this.
So cool.
I wanted to say is the one thing that I found really, I had to really laugh about. When I moved to the States, I had to get myself a driver license. Like, I had a driver license from Europe, but I had to go to DMV and get a Michigan driver license so that way I can be on an insurance and whatnot. Because obviously, as an au pair, you drive around a lot.
Yeah.
So I walked in there, and when you're filling out the form for DMV, there is, like, the part where you say if you want to be a donor or not, so that they can put it on your license. What I did not expect was the question why. I was like, I'm looking at it, and I was like, I crossed out, okay, I'll be a donor, and then there's a question why. Why do I want to be a donor? I don't know. I guess I won't need my organs anymore. Like, what else? It's just such a really weird question for this. Like,
I remember afterward, like a few hours later, she called me and she was telling me, I was asking her how going through for her license and everything went. She's telling me, and she goes, if for organ donation, they make sure you're dead, right? I was like, I certainly hope so.
So, not to, like, force beliefs or anything on anyone, but organ donation is totally amazing. And I worked in transplant research for a year when I was doing my research, and I think it's so important to donate your organs. I mean, people have different beliefs, and that's perfectly fine. You have your belief, you have your personal acceptance with that, and I'm all for that. But if you don't have any religious beliefs and you haven't put yourself up for organ donation, I think it's something that you should possibly consider, because the benefits outweigh. So, like, you're dead. You, as far as I'm aware, you don't feel the them cutting you up and taking the organs out. And this is a Halloween stream, so I can be a bit more gory here.
Yes.
So it's just important that I'm donating my organs when I die, if the organs are good enough to be donated. And it's just like, there's a story. I know I like speaking to patients, or like seeing patients who have had, you know, new organs being given. You're giving them basically the gift of life. And it's just like, have a think about it. And maybe perhaps if you're watching this, it's a chance for you to like consider being an organ donor.
And you can, during the
fully respect and fully, you know, your beliefs, your system. That's great. If you don't want to, that's fine. But if you don't,
100%.
you know,
my mom passed away about 5 years ago now, and when she passed, we were asked if she could donate her organs, and I forget everything that was donated because she was very sickly, but what wasn't sickly was her eyes, and so her retinas were donated. Cornea, thank you, love, was donated to someone else and literally gave sight to the blind.
Yeah.
And that was just at Christmas, they sent us a card telling us exactly what they used her hearts for, and gave us the commemorative heart ornament for the tree. And it was just such an incredible feeling because she was someone who saved people all the time. She was the kind of person to take you in off the streets if you needed it and like helped you get back on your feet. So the fact that her, including now,
no, seriously, she genuinely took me off when I was in a really dire situation in the States, and she was amazing. Like, she would fly me over 2 states over just so that I have somewhere to stay. And then when I was going back to my new host family, she would hide money in my pockets just so that I have some, like, you know, she was really, really amazing person.
She just
makes sense that she would be giving.
She actually didn't have it on her license because her and I have a genetic thing called hemochromatosis. And for her, the gene was active, so that meant her blood had too much iron and she had to get phlebotomized. So she didn't know she could be an organ donor. So when she passed and they asked us this, my dad knew right away that she would love to be a donor. So that was pretty surprising. And like knowing that even though she was gone, she still saved another person's life. It was just an amazing thing.
Can I ask a question?
Amazing.
Yes.
What do they do with all the organs for the people who are not like donors?
Your body gets it's whatever you want. You can get shot into the sun if you're rich. You can get buried. Listen, okay, I only had that at the top of my mind because whenever we bring up funeral stuff, my brother Christian says I want to be shot into the sun. And I'm like, okay, but you need to make bank first. But it's like any stereotypical like burying thing. That's all. Your
like,
organs.
You can do cremation. You can do it with cremation usually. With cremation,
they just like keep your organs.
Yeah.
So
what I've from the myriad of people I've watched YouTube videos about like the death industry, as Amanda finds it so funny. What they do is if your body is allowed to be autopsied for a cause of death, they take all your organs out. They like check your stomach and stuff. They check they weigh your brain and everything. And then when they're done, they just put them in a bag inside of you so that they can be interred with you. So if you don't get an autopsy and they just, move you right along, then they stay right where they are.
That seems like that seems like a waste, I guess.
By the way,
if someone needs it, then they could just take it, and it just seems like a waste.
Yeah, it does, but honestly, like I feel
I respect religion, and I know religion has a place with that, but yeah.
I think what's unfortunate is even if like 50% of people said, I'm going to donate my organs when I pass away, it's not every death circumstance that can make organs donatable. Like if I die in a car crash and all my internal organs are bleeding when I die, then I can't donate any of them, you know? Or if I die peacefully at home, but no one finds me for 4 days, you know? So that's why I think it's so important that like anyone who possibly can, who does not have a sincerely held belief around not doing it, should sign up to be an organ. I'm with Fatma. Food with Fatma.
So, like,
organ donate with Fatma.
By the way, you guys know how there's a blood bank?
Mm-hmm.
There's a bone bank. Did you know that? So, my little brother Christian has cerebral palsy, and he was born with one leg shorter than the other. And when he was about 10 years old, he had major reconstructive surgery. But because one leg formed short of the other, it literally didn't have the length. So
Right.
they reconstructed his hip, and he's got a hip bone from someone else.
Wow.
I knew cadaver bones were a thing, but it did not occur to me that they were like banked. I thought it was just
it was funny when Mom was explaining it to us, and my mom, like, they didn't mention it to her before the surgery, which is fine because like they already went over the whole blood transfusion thing, you know, everything was signed away. And when they were like, oh, and we grabbed the bone from the bone, I'm like, excuse you, what? The what?
Kat, you're back just in time. We're talking about what happens to your organs when you die, and we're encouraging everyone to do organ donation.
Yes, as a nurse, I think that is a great idea. However, as my dad's side of the family, they're Indian, that is not a good idea. So
it's how you're stuck in the middle.
Yeah.
So, like,
donate half.
Going back to the religious thing.
I just wanted to say before I forget, if anyone's interested in like all this kind of stuff, and especially how Chelsea was asking, like, what happens, you know, to your body after whatever organ donation and stuff, there's a really, really good YouTube channel for that. It's called Ask the Mortician. And
yes,
Caitlin Browdy is so amazing.
She's amazing. She does, you know, like the usual stuff, like tells stories and stuff, but most importantly, she talks about death. She talks about what happens to you after you die. She is a mortician, so a lot of that stuff, you know, she describes it by her job, and I think it's really, really good place to go and look because she is amazing. I love her videos. I love everything from her.
So my dad and I love watching her videos, and she does not only videos about, like the Nana was explaining, like what happens to your body, but also iconic corpse and like historical things that happened with different bodies and stuff. Like it's such
like she did the whole story of Evita, for example. It was great. Or, you know, she talked about the Romanov family and the possibility of the
Abraham Lincoln.
Yeah.
The Romanov family? The Russian family?
Yeah, the Russian.
Isn't that the movie Anastasia is based off of?
Yeah.
Yeah, she talked about like what, you know, and she goes over these things, and she would even go over things that like you would consider like even haunted or scary, and she goes over it with the skeptical eye, and she like tells you what is likely that happened.
And she injects humor, so that way if you get sucked in, but then there's a chuckle, so you kind of loosen up a little.
Yeah, she's really good. Like genuinely, that is one of the like best channels on YouTube. I think it's really good.
She's my spirit animal. She's me if I got my shit together.
And she even wrote a book. Actually, I think it's on the three books, but most recently she wrote a book, and that is essentially taking the topic of what happens to you after you die. I think it's called Will My Cat Eat My Eyeballs or something like that. It's pretty cool. Yeah, genuinely, like I was like, that's the headline. That's what I want.
My cat is a picky eater. I don't think she would eat anybody's eye.
Well,
that's a very picky eater.
That's in a way reassuring, I suppose.
So we've been talking about death for a long time, and there's more death to come. But can I tell a scary story?
Yes.
Yeah.
Also, I just before you start this, if someone hears screaming or like loud pounding or anything coming from upstairs, it is my children having their sugar crash.
Oh,
So
God.
if I'm muted, it's because one of my children is screaming that their glucose levels are plummeting. So, but yes, I'm here for the spooky.
Your child is really saying that their glucose level is plummeting?
No, that's what she said.
No, I'm just saying.
I was like, wow, you have like one of those gifted children.
Wow. No. Although he did we were watching the Egyptian documentary that just came out on Netflix. I can't remember what it's called. Anyway, it's really, really beautiful. And they like found this really intact tomb. And he was like, oh, they found skull bones and stuff. And I was like, yeah. And so then I explained that like when we die, we turn back into like all of the skin and stuff like turns back into sand and animals eat it and whatever. And he was like, this morning he woke up his sister and he was like, Rory, we all die someday, but don't worry, our skin doesn't die with us, or our skin goes away or something like that. And I was like,
I love him.
Yeah, he's already weird. I already made him weird.
I would like to adopt him. He's my nephew now. He's my another nephew. My nephew, as in like my brother's my older brother who we adopted each other. We're not blood related, but my older brother's son Anders is definitely the kind that when he was younger, like now he's 12 and he's like, a lot of the stuff that comes out of his mouth is expected. But when he was like 5, he once said, my blood sugar is low. Just out of nowhere. He was like, I need protein. And we're like, what? Some of the things that come out of his mouth is hard to believe. If I ever find the list of his greatest hits, I'll have to share them. But so the scary story.
All right, go on.
So this one takes place in my town, and my town is basically considered a part vacation town, part rich people town. And so there's a giant lake in the middle of my town, and it's man-made.
Is that near like the Real Housewives of New Jersey? Like, don't they live in like Upper New Jersey?
Honey, that's like 2 hours away from me.
Because there was a big lake there too that they were talking about. I used to watch that show. And New Jersey is actually one of my number 2 out of all the Real Housewives. Okay, sorry.
Housewives are not representative of New Jersey. Just saying, they're just funny. So let me explain real quick. So hang on. No, Google, I didn't tell you to give me that. I told you to give me a picture.
You need to learn how to share those screens.
I'll figure it out. Okay. So Real Housewives is a little bit down here. And
no, they're in like Patterson or something up.
Oh, then that's right over here, but that's still about 2 hours away.
Yeah, that's where like New Jersey, like
I'm right
Teresa
and very tippity top. So I'm as far north as you can go before you.
So you're actually near them because then you're like it's just like a straight 2 hours down. Okay, when I come to New Jersey, we're gonna drive into that town and find those ladies.
Okay.
I'm a fan of them.
Crazier adventures. We can do that. But anyway, so I live in.
I used to love that show. Okay, go on.
I live in the topmost north of New Jersey, and so we are in an area where people, when they go on vacation, they like to come up here. But we do. So the lake that is man-made has bungalows that were built around it and beach houses and stuff, and people do live there year round. But some of them don't. It's because it's your vacation house, and so there's this one house that's in the middle of the Lake District, and it's very difficult to sell this house because of its history. And so this was in Weird New Jersey, but like their magazine a long time ago, and this happened in about the 80s. So one night this lady showed up at the 7-Eleven, because there was one, apparently, in a bathrobe, covered in blood, completely out of her mind, walking around and muttering, and she had a pretty sketchy reputation in town for being crazy. And she had 3 kids. And she kept saying that she gave her kids to him. I gave them to him. I gave them to him. And so the cops, they apprehend her and they go up to her house and they find, and everything's normal. They break down the door. They get into the first floor. Everything's normal. The toys are put away. The kitchen table is clean. And then they clear that floor. They go upstairs. The beds are made. Everything is flawless. And then they finally go to clear the basement. And in the basement, they found 3 man-made altars to Satan. And each child was chopped up on each one. And yeah, I know, Amanda. It was absolutely terrible. And that's who she meant when she said, I gave it to him. And this disclaimer, real Satanists don't do that. Just saying. This is the cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs person who's like, the devil talks to me when I look in the mirror. And so the cops couldn't believe what they were seeing. There was sigils everywhere written in blood. There was ramblings everywhere. And so it goes to trial, and she's found that she's far too not so cuckoo to withstand trial. And so she gets sent to another haunted place, by the way, called Greystone Hospital. And that's where she lives out her days, in a psychiatric hospital. But as the time goes on, like in any small town, this story stays. And so this house, it can't be sold to save anyone's lives at this point, pun intended. And so they ended up at one point trying to sell the house by hiding its history. Now, I don't know how it is in most states, but in New Jersey, it's illegal to sell the house unless you disclose if someone was murdered in there or died there in general. But like murdered is the big one. And so
I think that should be for everywhere.
Yeah, agreed. So this family of just 2 kids and their mom and dad, they moved into the house, and everything was peachy keen for a while. And as October rolled around, because this all originally happened at Halloween, the kids started complaining about someone grabbing their feet when they would sleep, or how it would get really cold. And Amanda's like, no, I'm done.
Amanda's out.
And so the parents were like, nothing's wrong. And so this goes on, and the kids are complaining about these sort of things happening. And so the mother is a good Catholic, and she turns to her priest and she says, I don't know what to do. And the priest tells her the story about the house. So they freak out and they start getting ready to move. But for some reason, whatever soul was left behind in the house didn't want them to leave. So when it came to things like when they would be packing boxes, they would suddenly fall over, or the boxes would fall apart or something, or that you'd be tripped as you're walking out the door. Little things like that. But then one night, on the last night before they left, the father had gone ahead to the next place they would live. And so it was just the mom and the kids. I don't know, knowing them, looking back, knowing the story, I'm surprised that they left it that way. But anyway. So the kids wake up in the middle of the night screaming because there was a lady who was coming towards them with a knife. And they go running down the stairs and they fall. And one breaks their leg and the other one gets a concussion. And so they're both unable to run after. And their mom is sleeping through this somehow. And it was debated that maybe the spirit put her to sleep. But when when the sun rose, after the kids have been at the bottom of the stairs, terrified the whole night, the mom woke up with blood on her hands and no idea where it came from. And so after that, the house could not be sold. I believe it's actually still vacant. And people say if you drive down there at night, you can still hear children screaming.
Oh my God. That's like the shoe factory where if you drive down, that it's like the exact place where it happened. Ooh, so scary.
Yeah, when I first read that, I then ran around and told everybody I knew. I was like, isn't this cool? And everyone's like, no.
That's not cool. That's not what cool means.
A few blocks away from that house, actually, coincidentally, there was a man who took his own life and he hung himself, but he did so on Halloween. So people thought that was a fake body hanging in the tree until one of the cops happened to go by and like poked it, and they realized, oh shit, that's a corpse.
How long was the corpse there for?
Just like for part of the Halloween night.
Oh, night. Okay. Corpse to make it sound like it's been there for a while.
You know how kids are. They walked by, they probably hid it. You know, people didn't care. They just thought it was a weighted bag. But
oh my God,
that happened because of the house with the devil worshiper lady.
Wow. Well, if we want to carry on, I have a scary story. Let's go back to Czech Republic, shall we? Since, you know, we were talking about how haunted it is. So there's this thing, and I'm kind of fascinated with it because I feel like it's a very interesting story, but it doesn't get too much attention, I feel like, because obviously it's like a small place in a small country. And the country on itself, like, it's old. So, you know, there's a lot more stories about a lot bigger things. So there's this castle, and it's called Houska Castle. Ooh. And it's nearby Prague. And I find it funny because Houska in itself, as a like meaning, it actually means like a bun, like you know, like a piece of bread kind of bun thing. So I find it funny that they named it that way because it's like, this is not menacing at all. Like, that's not how you name a scary castle. But so funny, no, not funny. Interesting thing about this castle is that it stands on the top of the hill in very wooden area, nowhere near like a water stream or a village or a town. It's like in the middle of nowhere. And like, if you look back, what was the purpose of a castle? Castle was a defensive place, right? It was a fortress where people could hide. It was meant to be that way. It was built, castles were built to protect people within it. But this castle was built so far away from civilization and so far away from any natural resources that in the Middle Ages, it would be completely useless. On top of that, the castle was built without a kitchen. It was built without any living amenities. It was just a castle on top of the hill. There was a chapel next to it, but there was nothing. You couldn't live in that castle. And when they did a research, they found out that the whole castle was not built to keep enemies out. It was built to keep something in. It was just built as sort of a prison. But not a prison for a person because there was nothing to keep people alive in there. It was just this thing. Nobody knew what was. It just went against every single purpose of a castle that you could think of. You know, why would you build a castle on top of a hill like this? Why would you build it this way? What is the point? So they were looking into a folklore. They were looking like what prompted this. And the chapel next to the castle stands on this rock, and the rock is actually cracked wide open. And there is a story that says that when they first discovered it, the hill, obviously with the crack in the rock, they weren't sure what it is. So in order to find out, they offered prisoners to get off their death sentence if they let them, you know, like get them, if they got down there and told them what's in there. So prisoners obviously took it, and the first one went down. They put him on a rope and they like sunk him down in the cave. And apparently, according to the legend, he started screaming and begged them to pull him back out. And when they did, he grew old from fear. He grew gray from fear. And that's how the story began, that the crack at the rock is a gate to hell. And obviously people were so terrified that they figured that the only way they can keep the evil out would be to build a chapel on top of it. So they built a castle with a chapel on top of a crack of a rock to keep the gates of hell closed. And that's how that castle came to exist. So even if you went in today, you would just find a castle that nobody could ever live in. It didn't have any bedrooms, any kitchen, nothing. And that's the legend of it. There is even like, some sources, if you like look around, some sources even say that during World War II, it was used for Nazi experiments and stuff like that. I can't absolutely verify that, but this is like the legend around this castle.
Wow.
And all of the locks are on the outside.
Yeah, it's literally built to keep something in.
And there's no record of it. There's no record as to why it was put there.
It's just legends.
It was
Can
like
you Google the
it
place?
just popped up overnight.
Can you Google the place?
Yeah, it's hang on.
Oh my god, I'm loving these. You know what I want? It's like a campfire thing. And like get some hot chocolate and like sit there, actually, I don't know, whatever beverage warms your soul. And just like, wow, I love these stories. Keep them coming.
Okay, so
We should all get a little
here's
tea light,
your host
put it right in front of us.
And this is what it looks like. Hang on, let me open it. So this is the chapel. I don't know how you can see it. I'm just sort of scrolling through, but this is the castle essentially. Looks like this. Or, from the top. I think this is worth. I don't know if it's there.
Do they have a?
Is that the rock?
I'm not. Hang on. I'm not sure. There's no info. I don't want to like show you information that's not obviously from there. So I don't want to like. This looks like some sort of a basement area in there. But yeah, maybe that's the rock. I honestly I have never been there. I've just heard these legends. So. But this is the chapel atop it.
So it's not like, I'm assuming no one lives there now, right?
No one's ever lived there.
There used to be like night tours, I think, but I think they forbade them after a while.
Because I asked. I wanted to go.
Well, you also were over.
The fact that you have to forbid night tours
means, but yeah.
So you can't even visit it inside anymore.
You can visit, but you have to be like in a certain. Obviously, you cannot visit like in winter because Cole was over in winter, and you can't really do that.
Heating, so it's icy indoors. It's not safe. So
it was constructed in the 13th century. So you're looking at a few hundred.
They didn't have insulation.
Well, not only that, they weren't trying to keep anything alive in there.
Oh.
Fatma, I love you. You're so adorable.
But yeah,
No.
like I can send you a link.
I didn't realize. I was so into it. Like, yeah.
Like, so, like, I mean, I can take it in the comments so that people can look it up.
Chelsea, do you have anything cool?
No, nothing supernatural. I mean, one of the house dorms on my campus is haunted, reportedly. But that's all.
Do you know the reason?
I know.
You gotta get into
it
and tell the story.
It used to be where they would house all the nursing students, and this was like way back then. So like it was only women. I think there was a fire that happened.
Was this at a nursing college?
It's at my university, and it's like where a lot of where they dorm the nursing students
The
at.
nursing students. Okay. So it was the nursing students' dorm
Yeah.
that's haunted?
Yeah. It's not
Whoa.
the nursing. It's not the dorm anymore. I think it's just like anybody can live there now. But like way back then, that's what it was specifically for. But I think it caught on fire, and I think one woman died, and she like reportedly haunts the halls.
And not just any woman haunting the halls. This is a highly stressed nursing student who's mad, who was probably so pissed off that she died while she was trying to get an education, and you know, she was almost there. She was almost done. She could have almost moved on with her life.
You just explained exactly
That's
why
her unfinished business.
So she's probably so mad and bitter that she could not graduate, that she couldn't get her GPA, that she, oh man, I wouldn't want to cross that
around
lady.
the time where like women did not rarely go to college too, so it's like
Oh,
imagine
so she's
dying.
even more mad. Ooh,
Yeah.
ooh, she's even more mad.
I love how Kat immediately understands why this ghost would be so pissed off.
Because of, oh my god, nursing school was tough. It was like highly stressful, like no life. It was studying all night long. I mean, it was just, and if I died in the middle of it, I would just be like.
I went to a community college that used to be a seminary, which is a school to teach priests. And so our classrooms were all their former dorm rooms. So they were all really small and stuff like that. And there was one floor we weren't allowed onto because that was flooded and someone died up there. I don't remember like how the flood happened, but there's the school down a hill, and then there's a hill you go up to the higher campus, which is completely brand new. And then there's this other offshoot of a road that you can go up with your car if the gates open, and it goes up the hill to a chapel that they would put the chapel so far away because then you had to get your ass up at 4 o'clock in the morning to make it there for dawn service. So it was like kind of a punishment for the students. And the chapel was not burnt down because it's made all of stone, but it was burnt out, like a fire lit and people died in there. And I never experienced anything there myself. And we actually were surprisingly not allowed to tell many stories. Like if a teacher heard you, they were like, shh, we're not supposed to talk about that. Well, because whenever the story spread too much, they lost funding because it's a community college. So it was
that can make sense.
So there was a lot of like donators, and like the president of the school was like, don't do that. Even though when you walk, there's a hill you walk up to enter it, and you look up, and the college's original name is still there. But there wasn't any. I never really experienced anything there. There was another school that was definitely haunted. I went to. We used it just for 5th grade. It was an old. It was one of those old, like renovated schoolhouses that went from being just like a tiny schoolhouse to expanding. And for years it was empty until the population bloomed in my town, and they had to send just 5th grade there. And I don't know. I've never heard if anyone died there, but the bell tower where they used to go up to ring the bells to call the kids in was definitely haunted. If you went there, if you drove by at night and you looked up, you could see someone sitting on the edge of the bell tower, and everybody knew it. Everybody acknowledged it. Even the skeptics acknowledged it. Just nobody was like, no, don't go up there. And once I was walking down the hallway to go to the bathroom, and the door to the tower was open. And I stood there for a good 3 minutes debating, should I? I really should. And before I could get the balls to go up there, a janitor saw me. He was like, don't you dare. But it was just so, I was like.
Was it a janitor though? Dun, dun, dun.
There's a cemetery in Prague, and it's called Hřbitov Bláznu, which in translation is the cemetery of the insane. And it's a nearby asylum. And it was built in around 1900, about 1903 or so. It was commissioned. And what's interesting about it, I find it more sad than actually haunting, even though it's like considered a very haunted location. And what's interesting about it is obviously there were patients were buried there, you know, patients from the asylum, but it was also a burial place for a lot of soldiers, like, for example, Italian soldiers from First World War and stuff. There's even a rumor that one of the assassins from the you know, from Serbia, when they actually triggered the First World War in 1914, one of them that is buried in there. So it's like it's this place that hosts a lot of people who passed away really far away from home.
Ooh.
And that's why there's this whole rumor going around that these people basically stayed in here and they just hang around their graves hoping that their loved one's going to come for them and, you know, come and mourn them, and which is obviously never going to happen because these
Yeah, they all dead now.
It's so sad
it's
to
like
think about.
really sad and haunting to think about. And there's even a, like, with these, I find these like really sad. There's one from my hometown actually. So if you went to my hometown in mountains, it's not like in the mountains, but we are surrounded by mountains where I'm from. And one of these mountain tops sort of, it has 3 giant wooden crosses on top. And you would think like, okay, so what happened here, right? So we would always go and we would take, you know, like a hiking trail up there, because you can walk up there. It's like an hour hike if you go from my house up there. And it's got a really nice view, and it's a really peaceful, calm place, and it's like a park as well. But there is, if you walk all the way up there to those 3 crosses in the woods nearby, there's like bases of buildings and stuff. And you would wonder what happened. And there's a story that the 3 crosses are for 3 brothers who wanted to build a hotel resort on top of that hill, which is where the bases of the buildings come from. And they wanted to build this, it's not a zip liner. I don't really know how I would call it because my English kind of stops there, but it's like a thing. It's like cubby like goes up the hill. And we have one of those, but this was supposed to be another one. And they invested a lot of money. They invested their entire life savings, and they took a massive loan to finish the project, but it never happened, and they bankrupted, and as a result, committed suicide. And that's what the 3 crosses are for them, and for the project that never got built. And like even today, I would be going to school and I would pass on the bus, I would pass these massive wooden doors, which is where that thing was supposed to go, the zip liner or whatever that is. It was where the station for it was supposed to be, and that was supposed to take you up there. So it's like everything is there as they were getting it ready, and it's just getting covered in vines and stuff, you know, as the time is kind of nature's taking it back. And I find it really haunting. It's not necessarily a haunted place, but it's really haunting in the sense that you can see something that people were really, really hard working on. It was their dream project and it failed. And they met such a really tragic end. And it's just there as a constant reminder that that person existed, that they were there, and that they never got to finish what they started. And it's just so sad to me.
Yeah.
And now I'm
So
I have a sad story.
Yeah, I have I actually have 2, but one is just sort of like short and kind of, I don't know, it's funny to me. But also I'm very morbid. So.
You're in good company.
Yeah, I'll start the funny one. So I attended Bradley University, which is a college in Peoria, Illinois, which is like the center of Illinois, basically.
Cornfields.
Yep, pretty much. And the founder of Lydia Moss Bradley. The founder of Bradley University is called Lydia Moss Bradley. Okay, now I'm going to tell you a little bit about her life and like the works in her life, because she's a super impressive woman in my mind. Like, not just because I went to the school, but because I think she's like a genuine badass. Lydia Moss Bradley was born in on July 31st of 1816 in a log cabin in Indiana. She married her husband Tobias F. Bradley when she was 21, and 10 years later they moved together to Peoria, Illinois. During her lifetime in Peoria, she okay, this is actually really funny. So she is one of the first women, one of the first American women to ever draft a prenup to protect her assets. She became the first in 1875. So again, she was born in 1816. So she's like almost 60 here. In 1875, she became the first female member of a national bank board. She gave land to the Society of St. Francis to build a hospital, which is now known as OSF. St. Francis.
I her.
What?
I stan her.
Oh, already, I know, right? It's amazing. She also, in 1884, so now she's 68, she built the Bradley Home for Aged Women to care for widowed and childless women. So like literally a spinster house. And funded the construction of the Universalist Unitarian Church in Peoria. She then won a Supreme Court case in 1903 over like a land dispute. So 1903, now she's what, 80, just really freaking old, okay? She's really old. She founded Bradley. It started as Bradley Polytechnic Institute. It used to literally be just an horology school, which is a school for building clocks. But she founded Bradley Polytechnic Institute, which became Bradley University, in 1897. So it is one of the very first universities in the country that was founded by a woman. And she was like, on Wikipedia, it says she was a wealthy bank president and philanthropist. So she just had a lot of money. And she lived until she was 91. Damn. Which is like unreal during her time. Like, I mean, probably she was like, oh, the old lady in the big house on the hill, because like nobody lived that long. So she passed away January 16th, 1908. She, although up until like the day of, the 91-year-old philanthropist reportedly remained alert and engaged with the affairs of her estate until like the day she died. Now here is the creepy part. Lydia Moss Bradley, and this is the creepy / funny part. There is a joke at Bradley University that is also kind of like poo-pooed by our own school, that Lydia Moss Bradley actually murdered all 6 of her children. There's no proof, like we don't have proof of this, but like
she outlived them.
She outlived them. She outlived her husband. They all died in childhood. Like I don't think any of them got past like 15, 16. So we were just like, you know, you're busy doing things. Like you're running a life. You got like a prenup. You're a bank president. Like who has time? Who has time? So
Let us
saying, That's a thing. That's a thing. We think maybe it's like a open rumor that the president of my university, who is this like badass woman at the turn of the century, also maybe killed all her children. So there's that. So that's a fun one. But one of the things that you guys mentioned about our, I don't know, this ghost story thing is that you wanted something that was like from our heritage, right? So now, like you've talked about.
Yeah, I thought it would be really cool to do because, like, obviously each of us is from different background, and I think it's really cool too.
Yes.
Well, mine wasn't really heritage. Mine was just regional.
Well, you can have anything.
That's okay.
Honestly, yours is the one that made me think of.
That's fine too.
Yeah, yours is the one that made me think of Lydia Moss Bradley.
I have several stories, so don't worry, Kat.
The thing that I decided to look up. So my some of my ancestry comes from Sweden. And some from, no, I'm sorry, lies, Switzerland. And some is from France, and most of it is from Germany. But even the part of my background that is from France, that is French, is from Alsace-Lorraine, which is the contested area between Germany and France that has gone back and forth between the countries since people existed in either country. So I looked up like ghost stories from Alsace-Lorraine because I was like, that's a very German part of France. It's like the perfect mix for my background. And it's actually where my family lived, in that region of France. And I found in my research, I found out about the Battle of Verdun. So I wanted to talk about this. So for those of you who aren't aware, welcome to History Lessons.
I was just, 10 minutes ago, I was just going to say, I feel like I'm in a Zoom classroom and you are my history professor.
I love it. You know, everything.
Martha is now a history professor.
I love it. All my books are behind me. So you can't
I swear it looks, and there's like a trophy or something, like, you know, sport trophy for best professor at the Colbert household.
I am officially Professor Colbert. That's funny. Okay. So the Battle of Verdun,
right
for
now,
those
that's
of you,
why.
Anyway.
For those of you who aren't familiar, this is a battle fought during World War I. It began on the 21st of February, and it lasted, I want to make sure I have 302 days. It was fought from the 21st of February to the 18th of December, 1916. It was the longest battle of the First World War. And it is also one of, and some people consider it to be the deadliest battle in human history. Meaning more people have died in this battle than in any other battle anywhere for any time, any reason, which is wild.
Which is interesting to think about when you, like, for you guys in the States, obviously you learned about Gettysburg and stuff, and then you...
Exactly. And we learn about World War I and World War II, but we don't learn about it in terms of like
other side,
individual battles as much. Like we learn highlights, you know, but we don't learn, like, I knew about this only because it's something that I'm interested in, but I didn't know all of this until I started researching it.
And then I had to write an essay on it.
And now we're here.
No,
and you had to write an essay on it, so you already knew all this.
Like, go on.
Yeah, so basically, when we say it was like one of the most costly in human history, so there are a couple of different calculations on how many casualties there were. Some people report around like 720,000 people died during this single battle, which would be an average of about 70,000 people a month. Or some people have calculated up to around 1 million casualties, or up to 1.25 million casualties in the Battle of Verdun. The thing is, it was a German and French battle, and it was specifically, the German strategy was to make the French defend this stronghold, because geographically it was like hills, towns built on hills surrounding this valley area. And so they knew that the French had been fortifying those places and building forts there. And that's why they said, we're going to basically besiege them in Verdun, and we're going to make them keep bleeding themselves dry by sending people. The mayor of one of the 9 lost villages of Verdun was, I'm going to look it up here. The village of Funerary was struck by 90,000 tons of bombs in one day, according to their historical documents, which is just wild.
That's huge.
France everything is gone. Like, you can see maybe some columns or maybe some like foundations, but like all the buildings are gone now. France designated it a red zone because the soil had so much lead from the bullets. It had so much poison gas that had seeped into it. So many of the weapons had literally tainted the land, the soil. So in addition to the fact that because of the intense death rate, there was no way to like inter bodies in any kind of orderly fashion. So it was just like people would be fighting next to the rotting body of their best friend in the trench, because like that's where that person died, and that's where they stayed until the person who was next to them also died, and eventually they just like buried these bodies in mass graves all over the land. So they do have a formal cemetery. They also have a few Muslim cemeteries, which point to the colonialism that like people who were from colonies of France fought in this war. They estimated like around 100,000. And then France declared it a red zone, which means they aren't allowed to rebuild. It just has to remain as like a historical commemoration. The French people consider it an honor of their perseverance, right? The perseverance of the French spirit, but also a reminder of the horrific nature of war, which I think is like maybe the most chilling thing that exists that humans do. So in terms of ghosts, there actually aren't a lot of, there are a few specific recountings of ghosts that local tour guides will say they often see. There's one woman, her name is Beatrice. She walks her, I love this, she walks her dachshund through the town, and they're both ghosts, and she talks to some of the people that she sees about like watching the bombing at night over in no man's land, and seeing like basically not having nighttime because the bombing and the shelling and everything is like lighting up the sky. And then there's one other tale from an artist who was, because now the area has been left to become, verdant, lush pastures and fields of flowers. It's allowed to have been reforested. 9 individual villages were lost, and they built a chapel. I as a place to remember the dead in the war. But other than that, they haven't built any other buildings on the actual, like in any of these villages. So there are no living people who stay in these villages. The only people that visit are usually tourists and the people who work there, right, as tour guides themselves. One person was visiting. He was an artist, and he had set up his easel, and he was leaning back against a tree while he sat on the ground and painted on his easel whatever landscape was in front of him. And suddenly, out of nowhere, he felt his easel came flying at him, and it hit him in the face, and he was pushed back against the tree, and he hit his head, and he recovered, like, was like, I don't know what just happened, because he didn't see anything or anyone. You know, no one threw a rock at him, no one charged him, but it felt like he was being tackled by someone, and they like tackled him through his canvas. And the canvas actually, when he looked at it, there was a round hole in it, as if someone's head had burst through the canvas in the direction of him. Not his head bursting through the canvas, but someone bursting through from the other side. So he left and never came back, because
that's a very clear message to get out and never come
back. I would say take your canvas and get out. I think is what they were trying to say. So
no, they can keep it. They can keep the canvas.
I found it really interesting, because I did not know that. I knew about the Battle of Verdun. I did not know that it was like potentially the deadliest battle in human history. I did not know that it was essentially like a huge area now of just remembrance of those who have died in war. And I wanted to, there is a poem written by person named William Hermans. The author was a volunteer of the Kaiser, so a volunteer in the war, and survived the Battle of Verdun. Wow. And he published his memoirs in a book, so you can look this guy up. But his name is William Hermans, 2 N's and an S. I don't know if you say the S, but I wanted to read it short, and it's really pretty.
Sure.
It's called Verdun and You. On the battlefield of Verdun I stand. 500,000, young as I, are buried here. Where are they now? And an equal number unknown, like the sand beneath my feet, blown into bits. Come, youths of the world, stand here and vow. No flag shall wave in the name of a state to make us murderers sanctified. No school book shall poison our children's minds, that they must die for what these died. Beware the uniform let loose by national slogans coined at a desk which makes you march with flag ahead. Their slogans are a crimson noose around your neck. Stand still and think, for this shall we join the million dead? Stand still and watch a shadow rise, the military-industrial paw. What's left, a radioactive waste. There is a God and cosmic law. And that's it.
Wow.
That's one way to end a story.
You know,
I was like, oh, he went for it. He's like, learn from the million people who died here.
You know, I think this is like when you obviously I've been blessed in the sense that I was born in the Central Europe, so you kind of have it close to places like obviously that were hit by a war. To me, I've always studied Second World War more.
Yeah.
And visiting places like this is really, it can get really tough. Like I visited 2 concentration camps. I visited Auschwitz and I visited Terezínstadt, or Terezín, which is in Czech Republic. if you ever have an opportunity to visit places like this, I highly suggest you do. It's probably the scariest thing ever, in a sense, because just going there, even if you're not a person who believes in this stuff, even if you're not someone who, who would, tells ghost stories or think that ghosts are real, if you walk in these places, you will feel it. There is just no way you couldn't feel it. You will feel the utter, it's like a crushing sadness of the place.
Yeah.
There's something, there's a silence in the air that's so, it's a deafening silence, I call it. Like, you really cannot erase the stain from places that like they've been through so much death. I don't think that you can. I don't think that people can just go through visiting these places and leave without being in any way affected by it.
And I think that there's no way that many people can die in that place and for the place not to have a memory of it. Like, I just don't think that that's possible.
I don't think so either. I think that this is stuff that, like, it just stays. It's something that, it's a stain that stays. It can't go away. And it's not like, obviously people die every day and on every place. And it's not like, I mean, Earth is one big graveyard at this point. Let's not pretend it's not. But when there is a massive amount of death in a relatively short span of time, it just leaves a mark. And again, I've been lucky enough to visit these places, and it genuinely left a mark on me, in the sense that I really care about history now, and I really want to tell people.
I felt a very similar.
We got to get that podcast going, Nana.
Yeah, that's true.
Yes, I felt a very similar silence and heaviness. Heavy sadness, I think, is what you said, and that's such a. It is very heavy. When I visited the World Trade Center, the museum that's there now, and if you have not been, I absolutely recommend it. It is incredibly overwhelming. If you have like sensory issues, I honestly don't think you should do it. Only because like it is designed to be, the museum itself, the way that it weaves you through, you don't know where you are, you don't know up from down, it's sound and light and pictures and images everywhere. Like there's one room that just has a collection of single shoes that were found. And it's
what do you mean by sounds and lights and all? Like you're saying how it would sound like if you were in the building while one
of the rooms, it goes through.
Crazy. Wow.
When you enter the museum, it begins chronologically. So it begins by giving you, like, the first room that you walk into is like, it's like a recap of like what was going on in terms of like the intelligence side of things, like what terrorist groups were forming, that sort of thing. And then as you go through, it leads up to like the first plane hitting, the second plane hitting, the Pentagon, all that kind of stuff.
That's crazy.
And then,
like, oh my God, I think I would be so scared.
Yes, after you get through all of that, and it's after the towers have fallen, there's one room where you go in, and the whole room is beeping with these beep sounds, these blinking beeping sounds that were on every emergency worker's uniforms, and it's supposed to be able to help you find their body, but they couldn't find them, but they could hear
She's gonna end up with that wig tangled into something.
For like days or weeks after, these batteries didn't die, because they're supposed to last for days and days and days. So for like 3, 4, 5 days, 6 days after the towers fell, they still had these signals beeping to let you know that someone had died and they could not be found, but they were in the rubble somewhere. And so like you walk into that room and it tells you what those sounds are, and then it's just like everywhere around you, everywhere. So that's what I mean when it's it's very, very sensory overwhelming, and it's extremely disorienting. You're underground, so there's no windows, there's no way to know like how deep you are. You end up going like really far, below the surface of the earth, and when you come back up, and into the light, it's like,
that's the point.
What did I just
You're supposed to feel like you're coming out without being.
It reminds me of the Lydia Museum. Remember, Cole, when there's that? Oh my God, I nearly broke down in there. Like I'm not the kind of person who does that, but I almost broke down. I don't know if you guys know the story. I think I told you before in our chats. I definitely told Kat. But Lydia was a village that was leveled to the ground by Nazis. And to the point where they basically wanted to erase it. It was a revenge for assassination of Reinhard Heydrich, and they basically erased an entire village overnight, like to the ground. They leveled all the buildings. They shot all the men over the age of 15. They grabbed all the women and children and sent them to the concentration camps, where they sent them to the gas chamber. They went as far as to move a river, so that basically whatever was there was completely changed. And today there is a massive memorial that stands there. Amongst the other things, there is a massive bronze statue of all 83 children that went because they never came back home. Some women managed to came back from Auschwitz. Some children survived because they were sent for Germanization, but the rest was sent to the gas chamber and they were never found. So the children never came home. The men were all dead. Some women came back and then they became basically victims of communist regime that used them for their propaganda. But that's for the podcast, really. It's a really heavy story. But there is a museum underneath the memorial, and you would basically go through things that shows like there's some of their things, whatever was found. Because while they erased the village, they didn't actually Germans were so disgusting that what they did, that the general who ordered burned down Lidice stole one of the prams, like one of the kids' prams from the building, and gave it to his wife. And the next day in the newspaper there was a picture of his family having the kid in that pram as a fucking fuck you to the entire Czech nation. Like, they did it. They were not ashamed of it. They did this on purpose, and they let everybody know that they did this. And it actually sparked a big outrage, and it was one of the turning points of Second World War. But what you do when you go down into the museum, obviously you find these little things, and then there's a section where there are on the wall, there are letters from those kids that they sent from Auschwitz to their family members. And they're read out in kids' voices. And these kids are like, they're saying like, hey, grandma, could you send me some food? I apologize for bothering you, but we're really hungry, this kind of stuff. And I just stood there and I was so overwhelmed. And I'm not a person who usually breaks down, but I couldn't handle this.
Yeah, the sensory, that like humanizing, because these are real people just like you and me, and they had families and they had lives of their own. It's so easy to forget that our history is not like some distant thing. It's very tangible, Bill.
Yes. Yeah.
I did not go to Auschwitz, but I was lucky enough when I visited Austria to go to Mauthausen. Lucky, I don't know. But one of the things about Mauthausen, which is another concentration camp, is that like I remember studying it when I was in middle school, I think. And one of the things that it was famous for, there were like 3 things that I remember about this camp from middle school before I went there. One was that it was one of the deadliest camps. Very few people know its name because there are not a lot of survivors. The other is that it had a stone quarry next to it, and they did the awful, awful, awful Sisyphean torture of making people bring rocks up from the bottom of the quarry along these really narrow stairs. And if you like stumbled on the stairs, the guards would just push you off to your death. But like they would carry rocks up the stairs and they would bring them out, and then the guards would literally, at the end of every day, they would dump all the rocks back into the bottom of the quarry. The point wasn't to accomplish anything. The point was purely to work people to death. It was, I mean, so many disgusting, awful things. And the third thing that really still bothers me is that just outside the gates to the concentration camp was a in-ground pool that was built for the guards and their families to use for play and leisure. Outside, like when I say outside the gates, I mean 20 feet, 30 feet. I'm not talking like another end of property. I'm talking, you can hear people screaming and shots being fired and like all this stuff. And you're just like, where's the pool, Mom? I can't.
That's crazy.
It is crazy.
Yeah.
So basically the moral of our story is that humans are the scariest things.
Yes.
In the
Humans
world.
are the scariest things.
And people are afraid of Superman? Nuh-uh.
Yeah.
People are afraid of a illegal
know, right?
Kryptonian? No, actually, people should be scared of other people. Humans are the worst, not Kryptonians. So leave Superman alone, okay?
Yes, we should be scared of Batman, really.
Yeah, he's kind of rude.
He is. I think he kind of lost his humanity there for a second, but like, I think he got it back. We'll see.
Yeah. He got it back, but let's see how long it would last.
Ooh, true.
Well, you know what? Let's what?
Supernaturally story, so to make everyone feel a bit better.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
Yeah, sorry to take it like down.
No, it's okay. When you're talking about death and you're talking about stuff like this, you end up coming to a dark place, and it's kind of like
true. Well, and also this is Samhain, so this is the time of year where the veil between the living and the dead is the thinnest, and there's like no.
She said it correctly. I'm so.
That is very true.
Samhain, for those of you who don't know, is Samhian, but it said Samhain.
What is?
I grew up
to play the pagan festival for Halloween, which is
it's an ancient pagan festival that actually Halloween developed from.
Yes,
Samhain.
Yeah.
Samhain, and it is honestly just the time of year where the veil between the realm of the living and the realm of the dead is the thinnest, and those who have died can like pass through our realm, and that's why we wear masks to disguise ourselves so that our loved ones don't stay around in the realm and they continue their journey, because if they see us, they'll stay around.
Not only that, but also it's to protect you from the
evil.
From spirits who are not there just to pass through, who are looking to do harm.
Yeah,
and this all stems from Irish culture. Irish is kind of the Ireland is kind of credited with the invention of what we now see as modern day Halloween. Mm-hmm. This time of year has always been a bit of a festival for the dead. With Mexico and some Hispanic countries, we have Dia de las Muertes, which is tomorrow, Day of the Dead. And
in
that is
Czech Republic, we have on the 2nd of November, we have a day called Little Souls, which is a celebration of the dead as well.
So for as long as there's been humanity, there's always been a day around this time of year because the veil is the thinnest, and that is when souls can pass through. And it's also a time not only to honor the dead, but to be with your dead. So while you do want to make sure they can pass by, you would also do things to remember them, such as have pictures by candles or have offerings or what have you. And
this year with COVID, I think we made it harder for the evil people to come get us. So too bad. We're wearing masks all day long, especially me. So less evil.
I love it all year long. Don't know who I am, do you?
Mm-hmm.
So in
12 hours a day
in Ireland, when the festival of Samhain would come around,
I'm such a goofball. She's trying to be serious, and I'm like,
no, it's okay. The spice of life.
Laughter. Everything got really heavy for a minute, but when Samhain comes around, so what you would do is you would make a certain kind of treat, which would be an offering for not just the dead, but also for the spirits that could possibly cause harm. You would also wear a mask to disguise yourself, so that way your loved ones wouldn't get stuck, but also so that way the bad guys wouldn't get you.
Right.
And you would also carve gourds. Pumpkins was an American thing, but you would carve gourds. So like you go to the shops and you see the gourds that are next to the pumpkins. And the jack-o'-lanterns, you'd give them fierce faces and like make them spooky. So, and then you'd put them out front of your door, and so your house was protected that night.
Yep.
And you said,
And you dance around the bonfire.
Yes.
sometimes it depends, because it's the new year for pagans and for practicing witches who are like more of
Oh, Halloween is New Year?
Yeah,
Yeah.
for us, this is a new year, yeah. Technically.
And wasn't there a full moon yesterday?
Today.
yesterday
today.
was a blue moon.
Blue moon.
Yeah. Yesterday was a blue moon. Today is a full moon.
Full
And this
moon.
it's a very special October because we had a full moon on the 1st.
So there's 2 full moons this month,
Yes.
which is rare, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Not
I-
never, but pretty rare.
Yeah, it's not common. Definitely not common.
No, it's very auspicious that we have that much this when the veil is so thin, because
Yeah.
it's basically just not something that normally happens. And so
What about Mercury in retrograde? That's happening right now.
Oh,
Is that
that's
common?
just
Fucking
to top
everything
it
up.
all off. That's like
that's like the fifth Mercury in retrograde this year. 2020 is just rolling them out, man.
Mercury in
more
retrograde is why
I
Meg
need to
can't
go
be
it all
here
at
because her work schedule miscommunications. I'm
There
not
you
even
go.
kidding you.
No,
It
I
ends-
know.
It ends actually on the 4th, I believe.
Yeah.
But people were worried because it's still when the election going on and it's not ending till the 4th.
Let's not put
sorry.
that out there.
yeah,
No,
let's
it's,
put that-
yes.
It's gonna
Let's not put that into the
Sorry.
Can I just
The
ask
only
what
thing we're
Meg-
putting into the universe is that Biden will win. That's it. That's the only thing we're putting into the universe. Nothing
what is
else.
We're an asteroid.
Hang on, Fatma has a question.
what is Mercury in retrograde?
It's basically when the planets alignment and the astrology and just like the vibes, I guess I can put it in layman's terms, are
Yeah.
thrown out of whack. So like the planets and the stars and
It affects the communication. Mercury
Yeah.
isn't really
It
going
affects-
backwards.
Mercury is
It
more-
only
it is
looks
more
like
looking
it's
the
going
telescope,
backwards.
it looks like it's moving backwards,
But it's
from
not
the-
really. Yeah.
But it's, not.
not.
Really.
But
But
it
it
messes
looks like
everything
it's
up
moving
Okay,
communication wise.
guys. You're all talking over each other, one at a time.
No idea what's going on. All I
Okay,
Sorry.
okay. Nana first. I'm having a teacher moment.
Okay. So basically, the planet appears to be moving backwards, but it's really not. It's just a trick of an eye. But what it does, it causes these miscommunications, especially with technology. So, like, you would have like technology failures, but you would also have miscommunications in your real life. Like, if you would like look back in the past couple of days, couple of weeks, and you would think, like, I think that all of us could recall a moment when we were like, okay, this happened because of a total and absolute miscommunication. That's what Mercury in retrograde does. Like, little things,
Chelsea's nodding.
Yeah.
She's like, I don't know what.
She's nodding. She can
So,
feel
hey,
it. She knows what we're
So you
talking
know
about.
how the moon affects the tides on Earth?
Mhm.
It's
And
much
they affect
like that.
patients
It's
too,
energy. It's the way
Yes,
everything.
it does.
Yeah.
right? Oh
In
my
your
god,
emotions.
go crazy. Patients go crazy. I always know when it's a full moon, even if I don't know, because they act like psychos.
And
overnight.
more babies are born during
More
full
babies
moon.
are born during full moon, and patients with dementia are actually worse.
Yep.
Patients with already
Crime
psychic
actually
are
rises
more
during the
aggressive.
full moon.
It's kind of the hospital. Working in a
Astrology-
hospital, you'll know when there's a full moon without even
Basically,
knowing.
the soul has to do with astrology, which is the study of the stars and their effect on what's going on here on Earth. And it's incredibly telling. There's scientific proof, but also spiritual proof to its effects. So it's wild. And when somebody says Mercury's in retrograde, that usually means that
About to
things
get
are
your shit rocked.
Yeah, prepare yourself.
So today you have a full moon. You have a day where the veil between the living and the dead is the thinnest, and you have a Mercury in retrograde. So like
Circle.
you have so many things all at once, and that's really rare. Like I don't think that that's happened.
Trinity of Hallows Eve, of Halloween.
Yeah, it's
Yes.
like I don't think I've been alive to see this happen before.
I definitely have not, but I don't know. I mean, that would be a really interesting question. When is the last time that these three things happened all at the same time?
Someone Google it.
We'll
But
Google
yeah.
it there.
What's everyone's sign? I want to know now that we're talking about astrology.
Ooh.
I'm a Capricorn.
I'm Libra.
Sagittarius.
Aquarius.
What are you, Chels?
Virgo.
Is that what
You're
you are?
pure.
You know, for some reason that fits so well. Go on.
What's that, Mom?
I'm an Aries.
Oh,
No
you
wonder we vibe so well.
Actually,
You and I like
I-
vibe so well.
Out of
Why?
everyone,
Why is what?
Because
I
we're
got
both fire. We're both fire signs. Like
I
we
got an
vibe-
Aries vibe from you, and I didn't know.
what
That
are the vibes from an Aries? This is so interesting. I'm
Well,
learning.
look up
You're
Capricorn
forceful.
and Aries, and that will just tell you everything.
Yes. You are unbiased and you are blunt about what you see. That doesn't mean that you like will just go off on anybody, but like if somebody asks you your opinion on something, you're going to be like, well, this is the way I see it. And it's very sure. Not everyone has that like sureness about.
What about you, Jessica? You're the only person talking in the chat, so you tell us what your star sign is.
I mean, if there's
Also, by
somebody
the
else,
way,
that
you
can
said
tell
that
us too.
Chelsea. You said Chelsea is.
Amanda,
pure.
what were you
Have
again?
seen her Twitter.
I'm
My
an Aquarius.
my moon is an Aquarius, and then my ascending is a Scorpio.
My moon is in Capricorn, so I'm a double
I
Capricorn.
don't know what my moon is in.
I wrote mine down last night. I always
I
forget.
don't. I'm sure I could look up on. Hey, if you've got the pattern app, add me.
My ascendant is
So my sun
is
is
Cancer.
Sagittarius. My moon is Virgo.
How do
I can see the Virgo actually in the moon. You're very like a leader, like you are just like
When's your
calm,
birthday,
collected.
Jessica? I used to when I was in middle school, I was the like singular astrology nerd. So I had this old construction clipboard I would use for notes, and on the inside I had a list of like the dates and everything for star signs, and people would come up to me and be like, "What's my sign?" And at one point, I got accused
December what, Jessica?
I got accused of witchcraft.
I think she's a Sagittarius. I
Which
just have a
is
feeling.
Yeah, it's probably Sagittarius.
I don't see her as a Capricorn, but I could be wrong. I see a Sagittarius.
It's funny.
My daughter's a
I was
Capricorn.
supposed to be a Capricorn.
You say
I
that
was
like it's a
supposed to
bad
be
thing.
Scorpio.
No,
was
I just think it's sweet because I don't know that many Capricorns in my life.
Mm-hmm.
So when you're like, I'm a Capricorn, I'm just like, oh, that's what Rory is going to be like.
I was supposed to be
cat named Carrie.
December 16th. You're a Sagittarius like me, babe.
So I know
go.
Sagittarius.
Wait, Jessica, my
Yeah,
birthday is December 15th.
She's 16th. It says.
Yeah,
Cool.
so you guys the same. Oh, that's cool.
What year? Maybe am I the oldest? I'm never the oldest.
I'm the oldest. Trust me.
No, Amanda's the oldest. She's
I
got
was going to say, I think it's usually me and Joe.
Wait,
I'm
How-
32.
you're 32?
I'm 32.
Okay. I beat you by a year.
Ah!
I'm 33.
You know, it's.
Right?
I have really enjoyed my 30s so far.
That.
Oh, because I'm immature?
Because you always look so cherubic. You don't look stressed enough to be in your 30s.
Oh. Oh, thank you. I think it's just, I don't know, genes maybe.
Also, I think there's something truly about like embracing your inner playfulness that keeps you young for real. And like being someone who's like
That's how I
gonna dress
am.
up in a full costume or who's like into fictional universes as like the thing that interests them, I feel like you're just going to be younger forever. Look at Chris
I think
Wong.
maybe,
He's like,
maybe that's why that's me.
So Jessica was born in 98. I was born in 92, so I'm older than you. I'm 20.
Oh, Jessica, you were born the same year as my brother.
baby. I think
Okay, so
that's
how old is Joe
also the
though?
same
Okay,
year.
so Amanda is 32. I'm 33. How old is Joe?
I believe.
I
think she was, I don't want to either late 30s or early.
Text her. Let's see.
I'm pretty sure I'm pretty sure she is over 40, but I could be wrong.
She's 19.
No.
You're 19, right, Chels?
No, I'm 21. I just turned 21 in August.
I am so sorry.
Yep. No, I remembered that because
Fatma
you
is 26.
your bathroom is or your bathroom. You're
27.
around my husband's
Are you 27? 28.
You think I'm
He's
28?
also a Virgo.
27.
Go on. Kat thinks I'm 28.
Because I saw a tweet where you said something like,
"Wait, are you
30?
I thought Fatma was 25.
I think
you were
she's
saying
25 or 28.
when I turn 30, I'm going to be alone.
25,
and
yeah.
the world or something like that. And I'm just like,
How old are you, Fatma? Come on, tell us. We're revealing.
I love how you paraphrased my tweet. I'm 25.
You are 25?
Oh, that's so good.
I know the tweet you're referencing too.
I'm so confused.
I paraphrased.
Oh.
No, but the way you said it sounds. I'm gonna tweet far less now.
So guys, how old is she?
The end of the world.
25.
Okay, I'm not very good with social cues. Sorry.
I am 28, but I decided that I'm not counting 2020, so I'm 27.
I love it.
It's funny. When I don't wear makeup and everything, and I'm just out, people always ask me, like, "Are you in high school? Are you?"
I'm gonna say you look underage, don't you? Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, that was that one time.
Happy Halloween and everything, and I love your costumes and I love everything that you guys have done. The stories were absolutely amazing, and I really interested. It's 2:20 a.m. at the moment. I was really interested in the stories and the things that I learned from you guys and the things revolving around Halloween. This has been emotional with Zach jumping on as well. So everyone who joined us at whatever point they did, I love you all, and till next time, I suppose, from me. And enjoy the rest of your stories.
Bye, Fatma. At Food and Fatma on Instagram.
I was like, I need to leave.
She's gonna give up on us.
I need to get going too, because Kissy, I've been trying to get her costume on, and I want to at least try to get a picture before the end of the
You got
night.
a costume for
Pause. Can you just go put it on and come back and show us?
Okay, let me, I'll try to do it now.
Yeah.
I'll be RP.
Leave the sound on. Maybe we'll hear something.
We'll hear Kat. Yep.
Well, let's go back to like a campfire story.
Yes, I love campfire.
But what I wanted to finish really quick, I always get accused of being a lot younger than I am, which makes it working really interesting. Like when I worked in a grocery store and you had to be 18 to crush boxes, and I was 20. And the manager flipped out and was like, "You're letting a little girl do this?" And I had to bring out my ID and be like, "Dude, I'm older than your back shop manager, okay?" Or like when I worked at my last job, being an office manager, they were like, "Oh, we're having little kids do everything." It's like, listen, I'm 27. Give me a break. I can hear
I once put 2 ponytails on and nobody wanted to sell me alcohol. I was so offended.
Yeah, I'll go out with Nana and I get carded. She doesn't.
I haven't been carded in so long. I'm always like, I don't look 32, right? I don't look 32. But then I do, apparently, because nobody thinks that I'm not, that I'm young.
You do look really young, though. I mean, 32 isn't that old. My older brother is 34, and you can't tell.
Yeah. It's funny because I think I thought in my 20s that, like, this is the best part of the stream. Well, except for Zach. This is the second best part.
Oh my god! It's on the wings. She made it.
Here. Okay, do you see her wings?
Oh my god. She hates you so much right now.
She's like, look at her. She's like not even. Oh, kissing.
She's like, Deb is not here. I'm done.
She's so like.
Yay,
Kissy, look.
You're the cutest, most evil angel.
She's like, I'm not looking at you.
I know on purpose. She's like, look, Kissy, look. Fly! Look, she's flying.
Excellent.
She's gonna leave you a present in your shoe.
Angel. Do you like
Wait,
her
is
little
that
wings?
one of the galaxy balls on her? Is that a bell?
Yeah.
Or just her?
Yeah,
She
she
has
has
a-
a bell because she doesn't announce herself unless Deb's
Yeah.
on.
Yeah.
Fair,
she
fair.
has a bell. She
That's
has
like
to.
the only like Deb's on, and at that point, like Kissy takes over the show.
Fly.
The League of Kissy stream.
Oh, I like it.
Bye, Kissy. You're so pissy.
Now she's quiet.
I was right. Joe is 40, so she is the oldest out of the
She's
league.
like,
Yeah.
what do you want with my age? It's for science.
But now it's like, oh, I'm the second oldest. Oh my god, I'm old.
Yeah.
I love it though. Literally, hey,
You're
Joe,
not
how
too
old
much
are
older
you?
than me, though, because I'm February 2nd birthday, and you're December, so.
I just
So,
love
but
this is how this is
Actually, my birthday is December 31st, and I'm going to be turning 34. So I'm actually almost 2 years older than you.
Oh, also, that's a badass birth. What a great birthday to have this year. December
So,
31st. You better
let's
take a week off of work.
I know.
I just love this. It's for the people at home in the League of Mayhem group chat. Hey, Joe, how old are you? 40. What are you doing with my age? Suck.
I just hope I don't look like as old as I feel.
No, you don't.
No, you definitely don't.
You definitely feel older than you look because you're a nurse. Like, because you work in healthcare.
Yeah,
You won't feel
yeah.
old. They don't
Nurses,
exactly
yeah.
make the pretty shoes.
All right,
You
scary
know.
story. Who's got one?
Actually, I was gonna say I need to go and just.
The
Kissy
scary
is just-
story was Kissy.
Yeah. But have a good evening because I want to take some pictures of me and her trying to get her calm.
Yeah.
Send
While
me
I have it
Good
on.
luck. Bye, Kat. Bye, Kissy.
Bye,
Bye. Had so much fun. Mwah, I love you all.
I want Rogue to tell us I want Rogue to tell us a ghost story. Not Chelsea, Rogue.
I don't have any more ghost stories. I've never.
I had one. You used it up.
Huh?
Dude, did you just like how did I want to know, do you own this jacket?
No, I bought the costume off Amazon.
Shut
And it came with
up.
a jacket.
She's skinny, so she can do that.
That
And there's plus size girls who have to go looking elsewhere.
the fact that there's a Rogue costume anywhere with a jacket that looks that cool, yeah.
It
Also,
makes a
you
lot
said
of
you got the
noise. It
hair
makes a
an
lot of
hour
noise.
before.
Yeah.
Did you add
To
it
put
to your
a- yeah,
braids,
to
or is that
braid
a
it in.
different, or is that just an extension you clicked in?
Kind of. No, I took out one of my braids, my two front braids, and then I kind of like braided it in to my hair.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
cool. It works.
You
I love
wear
it.
it all week. Yeah. Hell yeah.
I couldn't find white, so I had to pick gray.
It works.
It really works. Like as soon as I saw your hair, I was like, I know exactly who you are.
Yeah, I knew exactly who you are. You know what? I know it's the best part about being Barbara Gordon. I put on my glasses, and now I'm Oracle.
Nice.
Now we need to teach you how to share a screen.
Yep.
That's the after stream event today. We're gonna teach Cole how to share a screen.
Oh my
But
God.
anyway.
So you wanted another scary story?
Yes, and if nobody has it, I'm gonna tell Cole to tell our Clinton Road story because I can't tell it. I get rage.
The only scary story that I'm trying to think of, like scary things that have happened, like that I have experienced.
I have one that's from Ireland that I can tell before.
You know, the thing is, like for Cole and I, before she tells her Irish story, we are a little bit of a crazy people when it comes to this. So we usually come to like, because we would go and take a trip somewhere, you know, like whenever I go to the US and we go to San Diego Comic-Con, we then try and take a trip somewhere that we haven't been before. That's like a tradition. So that way, usually we get to the place and we're like, okay, so what are we gonna do? And then our best idea always is, hey, let's find some haunted location.
Yes.
So that's how we found ourselves, like for example, on Clinton Road nearby where she lives. That's how we found ourselves near the Murder Hotel in Los Angeles in the middle of the night. And let me tell you, Los Angeles downtown in the middle of the night is
Hotel
creepy.
Cecil? The Cecil?
Yeah.
Yes. The Cecil is
the closer you get to that hotel, the harder it is to tell the difference between ghosts and people. Because like even the people who even if you're not sensitive to this, even if you've never seen a ghost in your life or realized it, going closer to the Cecil, you definitely saw a few. Because like Nana was driving, and we're just slowly cruising down the street, trying to get close enough to take a photo from a car. And so I'm a little bit more sensitive than she is. So I look out the window, and I'm just looking at the people. I go, Nana, what? Do you see that guy? Yeah, he's melting. And Nana took her eyes off, like we kind of to a stoplight, and she looked because she could find, and she was like, holy crap, he's melting.
And you know, it's like for me, I love driving in the States. It's like my thing. Like whenever we go to the States, we rent a car and I am the one who drives it like 97% of the time. But I freaking hate driving in the cities. Like I love when we get on the highway and then
you
I'm
can
chill.
just go.
But like driving in the cities is a fucking nightmare. And I'm sorry, but like that's a haunted story of its own. And
she wanted to drive this time so I could take pictures because I would be able to take them better in a moving car. So she drove and I was the photographer trying to grab pictures. And
a melting man on the sidewalk.
She realizes that the person is indeed a melting person of some sort. And I was like, Nana, lock the doors.
It's like this.
It's just like, but this is like the kind of shit that we do, you know. It's like literally like going on an adventure with the two of us. It's gonna end up in some sort of a craziness. So there's always that, you know. But go on with your Irish story.
This is like super short. The only time that I can recall feeling like I was interacting with, not necessarily like a presence, because I feel like I felt presences other places, but like where I was like, stop, ghost, stop. I was in college and the apartments that I lived in, they were on a road right next to campus. And when they were originally built back around the turn of the century, they were built for the professors and their families to live. So every building, they would have like a floor would be dedicated for one family, and then they were all three floor houses or buildings. But then when they were converted to apartments, they like split them down the middle, so you'd have apartment on one side and apartment on the other. I was in my room. I was going to sleep at night, and it was probably like, I don't know, midnight or something. It wasn't 3 a.m. and it wasn't early or whatever, but I was going to bed. I think my roommates were either sleeping or not there. So I was by myself, or, there wasn't someone else that I had like recently chatted with. And I laid down in my bed, and I was laying on my stomach, and I felt my bed shake like someone was standing at the end of my bed and like grabbing the mattress and shaking it to try to like wake me up or whatever. But I knew that if it was one of my roommates trying to wake me up, they wouldn't do it that way. They would be like, "Get up, bitch," and like clapping my face and shit. So I was like, okay, there's nothing in the room with me. And I know there's no one in the room with me, but something is shaking my bed. So I just said, for some reason, I felt like this was a kid who wanted me to play. And because it wasn't like rough, it wasn't scary. It was like someone was trying to gently get me to wake up. And I was like, listen, I know you want to play right now, but I'm trying to go to sleep. Okay, so I'd really like it if you would just not do what you're doing. And then it stopped. And I was like, I'm pretty sure that was a kid ghost that I just told to leave me alone. And they did, politely. And they never really bothered me again. We had cats, and the cats would sometimes like look into a corner where nothing was and meow at it for a while and stuff, but it was harmless. It was harmless. So that's it. That's my like one like go. I literally just told them to leave me alone so I could sleep.
I
grew up
about it. Most people
so...
will be like, "Fuck off," and then the spirit gets annoyed and it's like, "I'm gonna fuck with you."
Yeah, well, and I think I reacted because they were gentle. Like the way that they were trying to wake me up, I was like, you're not an. I'm tired. We're out.
Yeah, no, I grew up with the ghost, or I mean, it's hard. Like, so the way I am, like, whenever there's a ghost story or stuff, I'm sort of like, I believe in ghosts, but I also kind of let people to interpret it on their own. Like, there are people who just are skeptics and they look for. So the way I see it is like, it's up to you how you interpret it. But most of these things, whether or not they're ghosts, they're still in a way haunting and scary, I think, because it's just something that you're not sure of.
Right. Unexplained.
Exactly. It's something, and even if you explain it, you still like think back and you still find it scary because like we were just talking about it. Sometimes people are scarier than ghosts. So honestly, like, you never know. But there's a thing, and Cole, I don't know if she remembers much because she was in our where I grew up, in the apartment where I grew up, but she wasn't there for a very long time.
20 minutes.
Not
long enough to experience much.
So when I was a kid, so my parents got divorced when we were pretty young. Like my brother was 4, I was 10. But my mom was obviously alone with us, and she'd have to do night shifts. So when I was like 12, it stopped being you sleeping over at your grandparents because it was just impractical, and I was staying at home with my brother overnight alone. And it wasn't a problem. It was like, lock those 3 locks that are on our door, which I told you about the other day. Why? Let's not go into that. And have a good night. But I had to sleep with my lights and TV on. Not lights, actually. TV had to be on because I needed a sound. The reason I needed a sound is because when I turned off the sound, I would hear footsteps going back and forth in our apartment. Every single night.
Yeah.
No.
So when she met me, it came after a while when her mom would be working these overnight shifts. I would be awake because I'm back here in America. So she would start calling me, and she's like, "If we get off the call, I'm gonna hear it."
Yeah, no. But it was just like it stuck with me. But I mean, today when I go home and I am home alone in the flat, I got used to it, so I don't worry about it anymore. It's just there. Like, it never does anything. There's just the footsteps. Never anything ever. Like, the only thing that happened which caused my intense fear of dolls was when I was a kid, and we had these dolls. They were really new at the time. They were these dolls that could cry. Like, you would put batteries in it and they would cry. So I always had an apprehension to dolls. I was never a big fan. But whenever it was these dolls, we had a friend over, she had one of these dolls, and I was like, that's fine, but what I want you to do when we go to sleep is you take out the batteries and you put it under the bed with the other dolls. Like, my dolls could never be on a display. I could not handle that. I had intense fear of dolls before that, but this just amplified it. So we took out the batteries. She let me do it myself because that's how paranoid I was. And left the battery slot open even with everything, and we like put the doll to bed, 2 8-year-old girls, right? And we go to sleep, and it's about 3 a.m. and that thing started crying.
No.
Yeah.
No.
That's when it gets yeeted out the window.
No. My daughter has a refrigerator toy that does it at any time. You don't even be the same room, and it's like or whatever the little thing is. It freaks me out. I bought it new from the store. Like, I know, but
nothing's in it. Nothing's attached to it.
Yeah, but I do not like Sam I Know.
So ever since then, all the dolls had to be out. Like, I could handle Barbies, but I could not have any more dolls after that.
Well, yeah, Barbies are so disproportionate and weak that you could, if that thing came to life, you could just,
and it's always been the eyes. Like, I can handle plush toys, I can handle everything, but it was always a doll's eyes that I just had problems with. Whenever it had doll's eyes, I just couldn't handle it. And
it's a good thing
I couldn't have dolls in the same room with me. Like, they had to go to a closet, like, out in a living room. Like, it just, like, would not fly. It's just, no.
The really good thing that all the dolls that I've kept from childhood are in storage. And have been since before Nana started.
Yeah, I would not sleep in your room if you had dolls in there. Like, that would not.
Especially Ashley. Ashley is my twin doll. There is this company that you would send in a picture of your child, and they would make a replica of them as a doll. And
that's not creepy.
And my mom got that for me because I saw the advertisement and I was obsessed.
You said advertisement. That's adorable.
Well, so I have a little sister, but she passed away from when she was a triplet with my twin brothers, and she didn't survive. And so I was always obsessed with the concept of having a little sister. And so I think that's why I begged for this doll. And so for Christmas, I got it. And at the time, it was so big that it was practically half my size. But now she's a bit smaller. She's got, her face looks just like mine, same blue eyes. Her hair is very curly because when I was younger, my hair was super curly. But her eyes do the thing. They open, they close. So it's a good thing she's in storage, because I think not only a doll looking like me, but also that blinks at you at random.
Yeah, no, there are 2 things that you can't do. Like, I will not fall asleep in the room that has an open fire on and the room that has a doll in it. I just won't.
The fire, I feel like, that's a reasonable safety concern.
Well, fire for me is like, it's a tradition in Czech Republic. You have summer house, so-called. It's like a cottage where you go in the summer. And my grandparents had one. Now they basically redid it. There is electricity and everything, and they live in there. It's basically a house. But it didn't used to be that way all the time. So we wouldn't have electricity. There would be no signal, like no TV, no running water, stuff like this, because you would just, like, it would be really old school kind of thing. Like, my other grandparents still have it that way. They still collect, like, rainwater and stuff. It's really cool. Like, it's a thing that Czech people just do. They get together on the summer, they go there, they have barbecues, they do hiking, stuff like that, to just get away from the city. And so we would spend a lot of time there. And I was a kid, and I was like, yeah, you could have been like 6, 7 years old. And my brother was just a baby. He's 6 years younger, so he was just a baby. And I remember it because of that, because he was upstairs in his crib and I was downstairs. I was just brushing my teeth, and there was no source of light. There was no electricity. It was just candles. You literally lived by the candlelight. And so I was brushing my teeth, and then I go to the main living space, which was like a dining room and a living room together. And mind you, this entire cottage was wooden. It was made of wood. And the table was on fire.
No.
Ooh.
And so I panicked so hard. I ran out and I screamed at my parents, and they thought like fire's going out. I said, no, it's the opposite. And I wasn't able to tell them how scared I was. But yeah, everything was okay. Nothing really happened. Even the table was like salvaged. Like it wasn't like, I probably caught it really early on, but it just like stuck with me, and I just can't handle like fire. So like it would be to the point where there would be a bonfire down the road from the cottage. I would not fall asleep until that bonfire went out.
Which is ironic because
Down the road.
Because her and I are twin souls.
Like you could see it like on the edge of the forest.
I'm a bit of a pyro.
I would just see it out of the window, and I would just not.
She hates fire, and yet I love it. Makes us two houses.
What?
Just interesting. It's like really. It's really interesting the things that like imprint on you when you're a child that like become so large, you know?
Yeah.
My dad is the same as Nana. He can't stand, like if they're like, he gets nervous when I'm taking a bath in the master bathroom and I'll light a scented candle. Like it's on tile, it's next to the tub. It's away from curtains, and sometimes he'll get nervous if he smells the candle. He'll be like, "You're not gonna leave it running too long, are you?"
And you know what? Ever since I became a witch, I became a bit like, or became a witch. Ever since I started like dabbling in witchcraft and stuff, I have a candles on my altar and stuff. So I do work with fire now in the way that I need to, but I'm just really apprehensive. Like it's not the same fear. Like it was a crippling fear for so many years. It's not so bad now. But the dolls, they're not safe.
I had a boyfriend a few years ago who had a worse fear of dolls than Nana. And our first Halloween together, you know how Spirit Halloween and Spencer's are the same store?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So in the Spencer's near us, they would hang Chucky dolls from the ceiling for Halloween. And so Man of Steel had just came out. And so we were doing the rounds through anywhere that sold pop culture stuff to get merch. And we went to Spencer's. And we walked in, we did our thing, and he didn't see the dolls because you weren't supposed to see them until you were going to walk out. And I saw them, and I was like, "Hun, close your eyes." Why? I was like, "Trust me," because it would freak him out so bad.
Hanging dolls is
like I led him out of the store by like with his eyes closed, and then I told him, and he was, "Thank you." And he was a 6'2" wrestler, which made it even funnier.
But you know what? Then I have like a wall of Funkos over here, and those are fine. I'm fine with those.
They're cute. That's
the eyes don't look like real eyes though. And I think I know what you're talking about. I get really weirded out when I see portraits that are painted with that. Well, I don't know what it's called, but there's a word for it in art where their eyes are painted so that they follow you around the room. Like no matter what direction you're looking at them from, it looks like the eyes are looking at you. Dislike. I did see a painting once of a porcelain doll with those eyes, and I was not okay with it. So I kind of get the eye thing with the dolls in particular. That's understandable.
It's also because dolls, when they look more humanoid, they're more capable of taking on a spiritual presence. Except Annabelle. Annabelle in the movies looks like a spooky doll you would expect, but actually in real life, she was a Raggedy Ann doll that looks nothing like a person.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. If you look her up, I don't know if you've seen her, but yeah, she doesn't.
And they used to make dolls like the hair on a doll. On a child's doll, what was their hair? Like it was made from. So dolls are.
I have a set of dolls that were given to me or inherited from my grandma, because she was from Ireland. She grew up there, and I have a leprechaun and a little girl doll, and it's very, very old. And the hair might be real, I think.
Are mannequins weird?
Yes.
Well, I mean, she can sleep in my room, and I have a cardboard cutout of Kylo Ren that was given to me as a Christmas present. So.
Well, I would sleep in that room.
Same.
Can I get the real hello, Adam Driver? Hello.
He gets flower crowns and stuff.
It's really funny because I literally have
so accurate.
Whenever I travel, my dad will take a picture of Kylo wearing different things in my room, like a scarf or a crown or a hat or something.
That's cute. My speech coach in high school gave me a cardboard cutout of Legolas when I was 16 or 17 because I was obsessed. And then I bought an Aragorn cutout. They were life size.
The Kylo is kind of life size but his posture makes it so that like he's got his lightsaber out, so it's not fully 6 feet.
Yeah.
But so I have a quick funny story for Kylo, just because. So my friend, me and Nana have a best friend named Rain, and she is one of those glorious girls who either shaves off her hair or braids it in cornrows when she doesn't want to deal with it and wears a wig. And she'll glue her wig down and wear it for days. And like, Chelsea's like the struggle. Yes. She's the most fashionable young lady I've ever met in my life. But one night, so we go to bed, into my bed, and she's sleeping near the wall, and she's all curled up in a ball, and she falls asleep really early some days because she's anemic, so she'll like not feel very well. And she'll pass out, and I'll just be sitting here on my computer, on my phone, and I'm just laying in bed next to her. And about like 2:00 in the morning, she's been conked out for 3 hours. She suddenly sits bolt upright, rips her wig off, like the glue was loose, and then yeets it across my room. And in the morning, I realized that wig landed on Kylo. Like, and she wakes up and she's like, "Where's my wig?" And I'm like, "You threw it across the room." Like, and this was like, she did it through her scarf, because she would have a silk scarf over it. And she would take that off. And then occasionally she'll put it back on, put the scarf back on. It depends on if she's feeling, but literally it's like, it was the spookiest thing, because I'm just chilling. It's like, vroom.
She's special. Like, I love her. She would come. She's always adamant that she wants to sleep on the floor. She's that kind of a person.
No, she comes to my house, and we come up to my room. We put her stuff in my room, and she lays on my floor, and she passes out for 20 minutes every time. And
so
I make sure that I vacuum extra good before she comes.
It's interesting to me that she's like sitting up and like doing this. It's not that it's complicated, but like I don't know.
You would just right? I think it would itch or something in her sleep.
Oh yeah.
Especially with old wig glue on her forehead. Yeah. But it would be so funny, and like she would wake up so shocked, and she wears glasses because she's practically blind without them, so her glasses are on my end table, and she's got no aim either. I love her so much. She's such a weirdo, though. I do weird things and something similar, not like that, not as weird as that, but for some reason I have this bizarre habit that I will take my pillowcases off.
Oh yeah, she does that. It's horrible.
In the middle of the night?
Yeah.
She just progressively does it. Like
I'll just pull it off. Like it'll be on.
Progressively does it.
Like sometimes it'll be completely
sew her covers on because she rips it open and she just takes it off. Like we don't know how it happened.
So that's
actually kind of impressive, really.
It's just like sometimes, like I won't do. Sometimes it'll just be progressive. Like I'll start like pulling it off from where I'm sleeping. But sometimes Nana has witnessed me take the pillow out from under my head, pull it off, and put it back. And I'll wake up and I'm like, "What the fuck?" And she'll be like, "You took it off." So I have little tiny safety pins that I put into the edge of all my pillowcases to keep them on.
Stop you. Oh my gosh.
I'm not
I talk in my sleep. This should surprise literally no one, but I talk in my sleep a lot. And sometimes I will carry on conversations with people that are in the room with me, but I don't remember them. So like, the other day, I was already asleep and like Steven came to bed, and apparently I don't know if I sat up and looked at him, but apparently I like turned toward him and I was like, "If you fucking eat that Reese's, I will fucking cut you," or whatever. Because he was like, a Reese's was like here, and I was like, "You fucking eat that, I'll fucking cut you." And then I went back to bed and he was like, "Do you remember the next day, do you remember at 2:30 in the morning when you like threatened my life over this?" And I'm like, "I don't, but you probably deserved it." I don't but that doesn't happen as often as me just like mumbling a whole conversation in my sleep. I don't know. It's weird.
My brother Matt has this weird history of doing that. So originally the twins shared a room, and one night when we had an au pair for a number of years because the kids were premature, so my mom needed extra help, and so we had an au pair named Valerie who was Jamaican, and she would also live. She was Jamaican but lived in Canada, but like she had some of those old country beliefs. And so some nights when Matt would start talking, she would listen to make sure everything was okay. And one night he started talking and he starts shouting. And he's like shouting at Christian and telling him, "Shut up! Don't say that." And it's like he's 9, so he's not allowed to say shut up or anything like
right.
that. And so I get out of bed because I was going to go say goodnight to Valerie anyway. And I'm walking past the room. And so I glance into their room, and Matt's bed was closest to the door. And he takes his monkey, he called Monk, was about the size of a Funko, and throws it. And it hits the wall and slides into the rubbish bin. And I was like, right by me. And I was like, what the? And Christian laying in bed like, "You won't shut up." And Valerie comes in, wakes him up to make him go back to sleep, and he's like, "Where's my mom? Where's my mom?" I'm like, "You threw him away." He's like, "No."
Well, I think on a note of sleep, we are nearing 4 hours, so
yeah,
maybe it's time to call it a night today. I gotta teach Cole how to share a screen.
Hey, it's a nice change. I'm usually teaching you things on a Mac.
That's
well, see, for once it's me. But anyway, thanks everybody for hanging out with us. It was awesome. I mean, we had fun. You guys had fun. But especially
so glad we got to see Zach. That was awesome.
Yeah, special guest who actually said that he might come back, which is awesome.
Yeah.
So yeah, so we will see you on the 10th of November on the usual Tuesday, 7 p.m. EST stream. And until then,
stay safe and day drink until after the election.
Yes.